Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the May 7th, 2012 City of Waukegan City Council meeting. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Present.
Alderman May.
Present.
Alderman Valco.
Present.
Alderman Rivera.
Present.
Alderman Cunningham.
Present.
Alderman Cunningham.
Present.
Alderman Moisio.
Present.
Alderman Beedling.
Present.
Alderman Newsom.
Present.
We have a quorum. Thank you. Could everybody please rise for the moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, tonight, instead of the usual rambling on that I do during the mayor's comments, we're going to take a few minutes to honor some of our firemen and police officers. The Waukegan Exchange Club, through a selection process, selected from a number of personnel here at the City of Waukegan that were put forth by their shift commanders, and this came about from questions that were put forth by the Exchange Club, and the individuals decided upon by their selection, and we're going to hand out some quick awards. We're not going to actually read them as resolutions. These are more of a kind of an honorarium for our employees. So David Motley was going to work with me on that. David? Yes. Okay. Pardon? Okay. We'll make up for it. It's the nice thing about having multiple meetings. You always get a chance to
Already messed up.
Okay. So,
First, we'll start with firefighters of the year.
okay, firefighter of the year, the candidates were firefighter Todd Zupek, Paul Rice, and the winner of the award was Ken Mayfield. Our firefighters here this evening. Would you like to come up front? Well, congratulations. It's something to line your shelves in your library with. Hopefully this is one of many that you'll have as far as commendations. We appreciate all your service, the hard work that you guys put in. I know it's not easy. There you go right there. There's never really a moment off. Would you like to say anything? No? Okay. Thanks, Ken. Congratulations. Good going. Okay. Next is the Fire Officer of the Year. The candidates were Lieutenant David Roberts, Lieutenant John Switowski, and the winner of the award this year was Lieutenant Matt Burleson. If you'd like to come up front, please. All right, Dave, there you go. Congratulations. There, absolutely. We're proud of you. And Matt Burleson, we'll get you a new one here so in the next week or so. Congratulations. Would you like to say anything? Well, congratulations, guys. Let's hear it for them. Okay, next is Police Officer of the Year. The candidates were Officer Joseph Basinger, Detective Michael Mondro, and Officer Cesar Garcia. And if I butchered Michael's last name, it's Mandro, and Mondro, I apologize, but the winner is Michael Mandro. Michael, are you here tonight? Would you like to add anything? Well, thanks. We sure appreciate all your work. Let's hear it for him again. Okay, next we have the Police Supervisor of the Year, Sergeant Edgar Navarro. He won the award. He was the only nominee, but it is said here as well deserved. want to say anything?
I would.
Great.
Very quick. It's because of dedication of those officers that are there sitting near the center of this room that I'm here receiving this, so thank you guys.
All right. Let's hear it. Okay, we also have an award. We had a little bit of a technical breakdown on the printout. Chief Young, would you like to come up? It's the Telecommunicator of the Year Award, and help us with the presentation. Chief Greathouse as well, please. Okay, Chief, go ahead.
You know, this one person, every one of the telecommunicators were winners in our book. But this one person, she took and she brought forth extra duties. She, when they needed somebody, they gave her a call, and she answered the call of duty. So without any further ado, I'm going to let Chief Greathouse, who she actually works directly under, make that announcement.
As Chief Young said, it's a great honor. This individual, amongst many others that we had, really did their job and showed their worth when it came with the storms of last year, where everybody had to work extra duty, work extra hard to take in all the hundreds and thousands of calls we got in to deal with all the storms and all the problems, you know, storm after storm. So amongst the other telecommunicators that kind of voted and had an idea as to who would be the telecommunicator of the year. So this year's telecommunicator of the year is Megan Grana.
Design work on this award. I do apologize, Megan. We will get this printed out for you, and you'll have a copy of this in a couple of days. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And thanks, everybody. And again, thanks for all the hard work that you guys put in. You know, it's not an easy job. It's not one that gets a lot of glory in any of these positions. But I will tell you this, the people of Waukegan appreciate everything you're doing for us. So thanks to everybody. And keep up the good work. Thanks. Okay, next is audience time, and first up is Barbara Murphy. Ms. Murphy, if you would come up and please introduce yourself and give us your address, if you would.
Yes, my name is Barbara Murphy, Barrington, Illinois.
The address beside Barrington?
Ready?
I'm sorry, Alderman.
The address beside Barrington?
Your address, please.
Oh, 26777 West Cuba Road, Barrington, Illinois.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I've been a responsible dog breeder for more than 40 years, and I understand that tonight, Chapter 4 of the Waukegan City Code, Animals, is going to be revised and repealed and voted on tonight. I object to the fact that no one in the dog or cat breeder community was contacted for their input, as this group is the group being most harmed by this revised code. People love their dogs and cats. They love pedigreed dogs and cats. Not everyone wants to have a shelter dog or cat as their pet. Implementing the $200 breeder licensing fee per litter and the $50 a year intact animal licensing fee puts an added financial burden on responsible breeders. Is this an effort to stop people from ever owning a dog or cat? These licensing fees are an additional burden to the people of Waukegan at a time when people are worried about gas in their tanks, food on the table, money for the mortgage. I understand that many people were involved in creating this proposed new ordinance. Surely there was room for representatives of the dog and cat breeding community. Only people pushing for this kind of control and licensing fees are animal control, animal shelters, and animal rights activists, among them the Humane Society of the United States and PETA, neither of which have shelters or fund shelters and euthanize 90% of the animals they take in. AKC breeders are some of the most responsible breeders in the country. I contacted AKC about this, and they had recommended that I tell you that responsible breeders should not be required to open their private homes for inspection or purchase a costly permit. Implementing a law like this will also likely cost the city quite a bit of money. We want to encourage the city to instead focus on strong enforcement of current laws and public education programs to help promote responsible dog ownership. And with that, one thing, I think people would like police and animal control better if they gave a warning first, then education, and then a penalty. So I guess my main concern is that I thought that the dog breeding and cat breeding community should have had some kind of input in this. The other thing was that we were not able to see what this ordinance was prior to this meeting. I mean, I just saw the ordinance maybe about a half an hour ago, so I wasn't able to read it fully. And thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Alderman and Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. I noticed that a dog was just brought into the chambers. The animal will have to be taken outside of the city hall, unless it is like a seeing eye dog for someone, in which case it's not. It needs to be removed.
Excuse me.
No, sir. I'm sorry,
That's fine.
but please.
I'm a veteran. This is my service animal.
This is your service animal? In what? Okay. As long as it's a service dog. Okay.
All right. That's fine. And I've also showed that to the police officer downstairs.
Did you?
Give them all his ID cards.
Very good. Very good. Have a seat, please. Thank you. Next is Violet Rickert.
Good evening. My name is Violet Rickert, and I live at 203 West Water Street. I'm also the director of Waukegan Main Street, our downtown development nonprofit. I just want to thank everybody who attended our Night on Main Street event a couple of weeks ago. We did a showcase of our available commercial properties downtown, and we really appreciate everybody who came out for that. I just want to extend an invitation to everyone here and everyone in Waukegan to join us on Monday, May 14th, a week from today, for our annual fundraiser, Lunch with the Mayor at the Genesee Theater. The mayor will be making remarks, as well as some of our board members, and so we'd encourage you to come here and update on what we've been doing in downtown Waukegan. Finally, next week kicks off Bike to Work Week, which Main Street will be participating in. We'd encourage everybody who is able to take public transit or walk or bike to work. 100% of the Main Street employees will be walking to work next week, Karen and myself. So we'd like you to please support that. And then the following Saturday, May 19th, is Art Walk. So we invite you to join us downtown for another celebration of arts and culture in downtown. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Violet. Next is Dr. Edna Martin. Dr. Martin, if you could state your address and city, I would appreciate it. I noticed that the Libertyville was scratched out.
Well, I'll explain that. I try to be a few words, and that's difficult. I'm Dr. Edna Martin. I live on 6020 West Edgedy Lane, which is sometimes called Waukegan and sometimes called Libertyville. We are in the Waukegan phone book, and the Edgedy property has been requested to be annexed to Waukegan, but we receive a lot of legal documents from Waukegan, so I'm taking it upon myself to be a Waukeganite this evening.
Understood. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I am here tonight to request that you vote a resounding no on the proposed ordinance revising or replacing Chapter 4 in the animal control and the animal laws. The ordinance. Thank you. There are. It appears that this has done without any education or input from the animal community, of which there are many, many breeders, and I think very few puppy mills and commercial breeders in this area. And the part that is most distressing is that that it appears that you have fallen into the trap of the animal rights activists, which lump reputable, passionate, long-time lovers of animals and breeders with the animal rights community, which is exactly, of course, what they want. Reputable dog breeders care for their pets as individuals and do not consider them commerce, as this individual breeder license would indicate that you have lumped us all in one category. I think that this ordinance is overly punitive. There are existing laws on the books that, if enforced, I think more than cover the subject. But I think, and this is not spelled out, excessive noise. What's excessive noise? License fees are, as others have said, when you're trying to put food on the table and gas in the car and get to work, excessive license fees. When you're trying to use preventive health care, perhaps more appropriate would be spay-neuter clinics, education, canine good citizen classes, obedience classes, to as the American Kennel Club suggested, promoting responsible dog ownership and not instantly going to punitive action. As a breeder, exhibitor, judge, educator, I would be happy to offer my services in any way that would benefit the education of those of you on the podium and those in the community of Waukegan to promote responsible dog ownership, and also to spell out the vast difference between a reputable dog breeder and those in commercial access and puppy mills, which we deplore. We're on your side, and so punishing us is not the answer to the problem. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comments. Next is Judy Warling. And Judy, again, if you could give us your address up at the podium, we would appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Judy Warling, and 2517 West Ridgeland Avenue, which I've lived there all of my 61 years of my life. I have worked at the Waukegan Park District. I'm one of the trainers there. I give CGC, which is Canine Good Citizenship tests. I do it my own free time. I am a volunteer. I have registered therapy dogs, which I take to hospitals, nursing homes, schools. Right now we're doing reading dogs. And I couldn't do this if I didn't have a dog that I knew was good temperament, good breeding, healthy, and whatever. I also breed wire fox terriers. I have maybe 1 or 2 litters every 4 years, maybe. And in fact, one of my last litters, the puppy had 2 luxating patellas, which I paid for to be fixed, $1,600 worth, and gave the puppy away to a good home, who is now starring in dog shows. It is also a registered therapy dog, which has helped many, many children so far, and he has 2 years of life. And this is what we breeders try to do. Good, healthy dogs out there, whereas they're not backyard breeders. I understand, because I've seen them come into my classes. Well, I want to breed this one because that one had it, and I'm going to make buku money. Good breeders do not make good money. We're lucky if we break even as a breeder. So the way this ordinance reads right now, will be a big impediment to some of our breeding programs, because some of us can't, well, you know, that comes out of our pocket, the $200. I know it's hard for the animal warden to distinguish between what's a good breeder, what's a bad breeder. But if they would contact some of us in the area, we'll be glad to help them. The Canine Good Citizenship Test would give the incentive for people to want to train their dogs and give them a reason to. So we're not having these dogs running all over. And most of them, once you talk to them, you kind of can talk them out of not breeding. And it's like everybody thinks the pit bulls are vicious dogs. They're not. It's why blame the dog? Blame the owners. And that's where we need to get out there and help educate them so we don't have all these dog problems. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Next we have, I believe it's Alice Brown. And Ms. Brown, if you could please give your address.
My business address I gave on the sheet, 228D North Genesee, Waukegan. I've been in Waukegan since 1969 when I came in December 2nd and bought my home at 555 McAllister. I was married at Trinity AME, and I've been here ever since, except for a couple of years I went to Iowa. And 1 year or two that I lived in North Chicago, my home burned down on Argonne Drive. That was 1990. February 14th, 1990, and I moved back to Waukegan, where my daughter lived on North Sheridan Road. Alderman Tenpass taught my daughter, Kathy Neff Kinnenberg, how to drive in high school in 1979. So I knew at that time he was checking all the bicycles to see which was stolen and which wasn't, and so on. I faxed each of, originally I was going to speak on the animal ordinance, but I just agree with what everyone has said so far, so I'm not even going to talk about that. This morning I had an illegal booting thing on my 1988 Lincoln Town car, dated, and I faxed one to every one of you aldermen and the mayor and Wayne Motley and Mr. Finn. Generally, what I faxed to City Hall, I found out the hard way from Alderman Beegling that is not really given to you. I doubt each of you got it. It was faxed quite early today with a cover, and to Chief Greathouse, of course. It's dated 5/7/1. I don't know if that's 1901, 2001, what it is, but it's definitely not today. The only notice I got said pay $4 immediately. So I did. I complied with that. I went right to the post office within a day or two. I think he gave me 28 days or something. I forget what that time frame was. I got a money order. I mailed it. I complied. I sent some of the thing they sent me. And I haven't heard from anyone since, nor gotten any more notices from anyone. This is patently illegal. And I did practice law for 23 years. I know how to sue, and I shall if that car is taken tonight. It was booted at 9:30 this morning, according to this thing on, and the address given by the officer is 228 North Genesee. He can't even spell Genesee, the main street in Waukegan. Funny on one level, not very funny to me. Not a bit funny to me. Each and every ticket that was ever given to me was simply a harassing type ticket, like muffler violation on a parking ticket, no place to even put it. Had to put some interlineation. My handicap parking, because I have double hip replacement, double knee replacement, carpal syndrome, has been on the plates since before 1999. The couple of years I was in Iowa, the plates were disability plates. They always will be, because I didn't know this 12-year-old hip replacement could just come out and I would need reduction surgery for 4 days in Victory, which I just did in April 21st, and I'm still rehabbing myself. I had to walk over here because you have no benches anywhere between here and downtown Waukegan, so, you know, I did hesitate at the library and on your wobbly circle thing out here, globe, whatever it is, sphere, excuse me. They're all loose, by the way. You dare not sit on it. It wiggles even under my pin, so I doubt it would deter a car from crashing as it was intended to do. In any event, when it says call the number, and I called it no less than 4 times, and there's a loop circle telephone response that no one ever responds to. It says call to tell them what you're going to do about it, so you can't respond even if you would want to. And I certainly did try. Anyway, enough of that. On the animal ordinance, I've always been a responsible cat owner. As long as I can remember, I had a 22-and-a-half-year-old cat named Charlie Brown when I was at 555 McAllister. He lived that long. I adopted him from the newspaper, not any breed or anything. He wasn't neutered. I neutered him. He was a neutered tomcat with no claws, and he was an indoor-outdoor cat. He was a real survivor. I didn't have to worry about him, and I never, ever could have kept him on a leash. Your leash ordinances are ridiculous for cats. Dogs I happen to agree with. When I had a German Shepherd for 13 years, I had her spayed, and she was always on a leash or a chain or whatever. Actually, from whatever your new chain ordinance is, I guess I couldn't even chain her out by her doghouse without being in her presence. It seemed like it was kind of like that. The whole ordinance is obviously like your parking meters and the rest of the tickets given out for some really absurd things. I won't even go into them. You have to know what's going on in this city. It's simply revenue producer. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Brown.
And my home address is 642 South.
642 South MLK. Got it. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, Owen. We were about ready. Yeah. So that concludes our public comment for this evening. Thanks, everybody, for coming and expressing your concerns about issues before us and other comments. Now we will go on to motion to approve the minutes. A motion to approve the minutes of April 16th, 2012, the regular meeting and executive session minutes. Motion by Alderman Conkin, seconded by Alderman Newsom. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Next, we follow resolutions and proclamations and presentations. Mr. Clerk.
The first resolution is for Christopher Cochran.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I forgot something. Megan Grana, come up front. We actually have something for you this time. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
The first resolution is for Christopher Cochran Woods. Whereas only 2% of all registered Boy Scouts in the world obtain the Eagle Scout rank, the highest ranking in scouting, and whereas Christopher Cochran Woods has earned numerous merit badges, including the required merit badges to obtain his Eagle Scout rank, and whereas Christopher Cochran Woods' Eagle Scout project was to update the library at the Boys and Girls Club, where he spent over 120 hours in order to complete this project, cataloging existing books into the library system and soliciting new books to update the library. And whereas Christopher Cochran Woods has successfully completed all the rank requirements for Eagle, And whereas Christopher Conklin Woods has successfully completed his Eagle Project and Eagle Board Review, now therefore be resolved that Mayor Sabanjan and members of the Waukegan, Illinois City Council recognize the outstanding achievement of Christopher Conklin Woods, who, in distinguishing himself, has brought honor and credit to his family, his friends, and his community. Further be resolved that a suing embossed copy of this resolution signed by the mayor and city clerk be presented to Christopher Conklin Woods, dated the 12th day of May 2012. This will be presented on the 12th day of May, obviously, by the mayor. So, Mayor, this is for you.
Yeah, we'll take it. Both Alderman Newsom and I are going to see him. Thank you very much. Yeah, both Alderman Newsom and I are going to an event on Saturday where he's going to be installed as an Eagle Scout. So we will make sure and get it to him there. Next.
The next one is a proclamation. Whereas the bicycle, an environmentally sound form of transportation and an excellent form of recreation, and whereas the education of bicyclists and motorists as to the proper and safe operation of bicycles is important to ensure the safety and comfort of all users, and whereas creating bicycle-friendly communities has been shown to improve citizens' health, well-being, and quality of life, to boost community spirit, to improve traffic safety, and reduce pollution and congestion. And whereas bicycling activities and bike-friendly attractions make a positive impact on the local economy and on tourism by helping to stimulate economic development by making Waukegan attractive to businesses and citizens who enjoy the outdoors and healthy lifestyles. And whereas the City of Waukegan, Main Street, the City of Waukegan Chamber of Commerce, and the Waukegan Bike Project, as well as bicycle clubs, schools, and civic groups throughout Waukegan, will be promoting bicycling as a leisure activity, as well as an environmentally friendly alternate to automobiles during the month of May 2012. And whereas May has been declared National Bike Month for each of the last 56 years, now therefore be resolved that Mayor Sabanjan and members of the Waukegan City Council do hereby proclaim the month of May 2012 as Waukegan Bike Month, and the week of May 12th through 18th, 2012 be dedicated as Waukegan Bike to Work Week. Further be resolved that a suing embossed copy of this proclamation signed by the mayor and city clerk be presented to the members of Waukegan Bike Project and the city council at the city council meeting on May 7th, 2012.
Okay. Do we have anybody here? Oh, yeah. Okay. Congratulations.
Yeah. On June 9th, we're going to close down the Amstuds for 2 hours from 4 to 6. And we're going to have a big bicycle parade and races, and hopefully this will bring in a lot of tourism for Waukegan afterwards, and just a general good time.
Great.
Hope to see you out there.
What time is it?
4 to 6.
4 to 6. So, and if you've been downtown at any of our events, you've noticed that there's a new form of transportation going up and down the streets. It's kind of again, it's a form of a bicycle, kind of almost like a rickshaw, and I haven't had a chance to take a ride in it yet. I'm looking forward to it, but it looks like a lot of fun, and it seems to be pretty popular with everybody downtown. So it's just another one of those things we're trying to do to bring more and more people into Waukegan and change the perceptions of our city into something better, because we know it's a good city. We want other people to know that as well. So another good thing. All right, Mr. Clerk.
Okay. Another resolution, whereas millions of Americans engage in bicycling because it is a viable, economically and environmentally friendly form of transportation, an excellent form of fitness, and provides quality family recreation. And whereas the City of Waukegan, Waukegan Main Street, and the Waukegan Bike Project are planning to close the Amstutz Highway on Saturday, June 9th, 2012, to hold the inaugural Bike the Amstutz event. And whereas the City of Waukegan and our partners are encouraging Waukegan residents and those beyond our borders to come to our community to take part in the unique opportunity. And whereas city staff will make the necessary arrangements for the closure of the Amstutz Highway and will monitor the activity for the duration of the event. And whereas the City of Waukegan seeks to promote greater public awareness of bicycle operation and safety education in an event to reduce accidents and injuries suffering by bicycling enthusiasts in our community. And now therefore resolved that the mayor and members of the Waukegan City Council do authorize the closure of the Amstutz Highway from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Saturday, June 9th, for the set up and cleanup of the event, and to also allow the public to ride their bicycles on the Amstutz Highway free of automobile traffic from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Further be resolved that a suit embossed copy of this proclamation signed by the mayor and city clerk be presented, be sent to the permitting department heads of the Illinois Department of Transportation after approval of the city council meeting on May 7, 2012. That's this one. That's just to close the Amstutz.
Okay. So this is something that we're not actually handing
No,
out to
no.
anybody? Okay. Do we want to have a voice, or do we want to do a vote on that now, do you think? Or?
Yeah, we can do that. Or we can do it after we're done with all of them.
Okay.
We'll do them all.
All right.
The next one is a proclamation. Whereas Public Works services provide the community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives, and whereas the support of an understanding and informal citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works and programs such as water, sewers, streets and highways, public buildings, and solid waste collection. And whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on the facilities and services, and whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, are vitally dependent upon the efforts and skill of public works officials, and whereas the efficiency of the qualified and determined personnel who staff public works departments is materially influenced by the people's attitude and understanding of the importance of the work they perform, and now therefore resolved that Mayor Sabanjan and members of the Waukegan City Council do hereby proclaim May 20th through May 26, 2012 as Public Works Week, and we call upon all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and to recognize the contributions that public works officials make every day to improve our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. Further be resolved that a suitably embossed copy of this proclamation signed by the mayor and city clerk be presented to Tom Haggerty on behalf of the hardworking staff of the Waukegan Public Works at the city council meeting on May 7, 2012. You got it? Here's it. We'll have to give him that, and I'll give him one form.
Sure. Okay. Well, could we have Tom Haggerty come down, please?
Did we vote on it yet?
Here you go, we don't have the hard copy for you yet.
Yeah, we'll get it for you.
Get that to you.
We'll have it for
Tom,
you for the end of the week.
I'll get it for you first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'll post it for the guys. This is the first time I can remember that Public Works has been recognized like this. Say thank you on behalf of all the Public Works employees for the work that they do. It's nice for them to be recognized. Thank you.
Yep. If you want to know. If you really want to understand the true value of everybody in that department, just think back to last January and to last summer and what happened to this city and who all these hardworking people were that dug us out from underneath all of it in cooperation with our public safety people. So, Tom, we owe you guys a great deal, so thank you. Thank you.
The next resolution is for Main Street. It's whereas the Main Street movement, sponsored by the National Trust for Historic Preservation, has helped cities and towns all over the country to focus on the revitalization of their downtown neighborhoods for more than 30 years. And whereas the National Trust Main Street Center is the driving force behind the move of more than 2,000 programs that use the downtown Main Street approach to rebuild and reinvent the heart of their communities. And whereas the Main Street programs operate under the unique preservation-based economic development tool, an approach to revitalization which leverages local assets to revitalize downtown, and whereas the Waukegan was designated an Illinois Main Street community in March 2002, and whereas Waukegan Main Street's executive director, administrative assistant, and its all-volunteer board of directors work with many other committed individuals and a multitude of volunteers to implement the Main Street approach and bring more people and more businesses to downtown Waukegan. And whereas, as a non-for-profit 501c3 organization, Waukegan Main Street receives support from all sectors of the community: residents, small businesses owners, property owners, developers, the city of Waukegan, and others. And whereas these partnerships have helped to lead the way toward a more vibrant downtown that is drawing people and activities back to its core. And whereas Waukegan Main Street has identified 4 priorities for 2012 in downtown Waukegan, including strengthening economic development, promoting downtown Waukegan as a destination, improving communications, and growing our community's viability and walkability. And whereas Waukegan Main Street is improving the health of our community and the lives of our residents by helping provide an ever-growing list of family-friendly activities. And whereas 2012 marks the 10th anniversary of downtown Waukegan's designation as Illinois' Main Street community after meeting the rigorous set of guidelines. And now therefore be resolved that Mayor Sabanj and members of the Waukegan, Illinois City Council do hereby resolve that Genesee Street in downtown Waukegan receive the honorary designation of Main Street.
Very good. That's it. Well, congratulations. It is certainly an award, hard-earned. I have to say that I think the relationship between Main Street and the city of Waukegan is stronger today than it ever has been, and I think it's the most productive. So I want to thank you for everything that you're doing to help bring people into the core of Waukegan and help bring people into the city to understand that this is a place that we can have fun in and that we can expand our opportunities for entertainment and for new visitors into the city. So thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay, to take a motion, if I might, by Alderman May and seconded by Alderman Tempest, to accept the resolutions and proclamations before us. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, everybody. I think that these are well-earned and well-deserved. Everybody that is really putting in quite a bit of sweat equity into moving the city of Waukegan's interest forward. Next, we have committee reports and motions, and the first committee is the Judiciary Committee, and that is Alderman May.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a request. Maybe you can guide me on this. Items E, F, G, H, I, J are all releases of easements on a common piece of property. They're all kind of boilerplate. I was wondering if we could entertain a motion to omnibus those 6 items.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman May, seconded by Alderman Tempest. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Are we going to read one of them?
We have to do that with, I apologize, that's a roll call. I apologize. So roll call on that, please, Mr. Clerk.
E through what?
E through K.
E through J.
J.
E through J.
Okay, Alderman Tempest?
Aye.
Alderman May?
Aye.
Alderman Valco?
Aye.
Alderman Rivera?
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham? Alderman Conken?
Are we going to read one of them?
We'll read all of them.
We'll read them all.
I'll read
Well, I
them
mean-
all.
Okay. Yes, aye. Alderman Moisio.
Aye.
Alderman Beedling. Alderman Newsom.
Ayes have it.
And then I'll take it in order?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Counsel. My first item tonight, the Judiciary Committee recommends to adopt as presented an ordinance to approve the application and ordinance as presented allowing a conditional use permit for a tow yard and auto repair facility at 3030 10th Street. And I so move.
We have the motion by Alderman May, seconded by Alderman Rivera. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye, because it's not the same owner. The other guy was a disaster when they saw her. They're cleaning it up.
Alderman May.
Aye.
Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham. Alderman Conken. Alderman Moisio.
Aye.
Alderman Beedling. Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you.
It'll be out.
The next item, the Judiciary Committee recommends a motion to approve an ordinance to repeal and replace Chapter 4 Animals of the City Code of the City of Waukegan, and I so move.
We have the motion by Alderman May, seconded by Alderman Moisio. Roll call, please.
Hold on, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
A couple of comments on that. As I said in the committee thing, there's a lot of good things in there. I do agree with the thing about the breeders, about the licensing fee. Everything else in there I think is pretty good. The excessive noise, especially the section in there about tethering. If anybody knows me, that's a pet peeve of mine. I don't think you should be able to tie up a dog at any time, whether you're there or not. For me, the fine would be, why don't we tie you up and see how you like it? That would be my fine, but I don't know if I'll get anywhere with that. But I don't know that I can throw out the whole ordinance with the breeder's fee. My idea is to pass it and then maybe revisit just a section on the breeder's fee.
Okay.
Because if we went back and looked, we probably have no licenses for breeder's fee. And I don't know that we have the manpower or the ability to go out and worry about responsible breeders. I think the people we're trying to go after are the people that are not responsible, and they have signs up all over on fence posts and things like that. So we need, to the people that spoke, we need a vehicle to try to get after the people that are just having dogs and for making cash and putting up cardboard signs and saying dogs for sale. I don't know if we can revisit this. I do not want to hold this over. I do not want to send it back to Corporation Counsel because it's been worked on for a year. But also...
Do you want to suggest an amendment?
You could amend it and take that section out and then return and then take that back to committee on its own.
Okay.
Alderman, what section are we talking
Oh,
about?
Lord, I don't have the ordinance in front of me.
Listen, hold on a second, please. Not too many people talking at once. Corporation Counsel, could you speak again, please? Repeat what you just said.
What we can do is amend the ordinance to remove the breeders section, then revisit that separately and pass the remainder of the ordinance in total. But I need to have the specific reference to the sections we do.
Section 4-67.
Section 4 dash...
Point of order.
Yes, Alderman Tempest.
Mr. Counselor.
Yes, sir.
Could you not just amend that as the ordinance is presented? Amend the ordinance as presented. Then you got a new ordinance on the floor and you got it. It's amended.
But you know what to amend
The
it.
fee? You're amending the fee, right?
What we're doing, my understanding is what Alderman Moisio asked to do, was to revisit the animal breeding section of this ordinance, to pass the rest of it. But he thought that perhaps needed further discussion and perhaps revision. So we would simply amend the ordinance and excise that particular section, and then with the concept that we would be revisiting it later, maybe send it back to committee or whatever the council prefer to do.
Pass the rest of it as
Pass, yes, Alderman.
Alderman Rivera.
Can you look at the leashing section as well in regards to cats? I have a cat. My cat, he's never going to get leashed. You know, it's not possible to leash a cat. Number one, I don't let my cat outside.
Do you want to call?
So, you know, something like that.
What section
I don't know
is
which
that,
section
Alderman?
is that one. I mean, if it
Do we know
applies to
what
cats.
section that is?
Do we have a section on that or a reference page?
I gave my ordinance up.
You did. It sounds like
Can we
we're-
get Corporation Counsel up here?
Your Honor,
Well, Anna, were you the one working on this?
Yes.
Okay.
for over a year.
Sounds like we're going
Again,
to have to hold this.
Your
over.
Honor, I just want, real quick, Your Honor.
Can I make a comment, if I could, before, because this is starting to go back and forth and getting a little scattered. I think that what we need is we need to hold this over and then sit back, but to make it a committee of the whole, just like we're going to be doing with the labor relations next week, so everybody gets a chance to weigh in, or, if I might, send it back to committee, let everybody send their comments in writing to the chairman of that committee, and let them be read into the record.
Well, all we're doing is amending a couple of items.
Mayor, I think we have everybody here. I think we can take these two items out, we can pass it, and it'll be done with.
Let me ask just real quick, the sense of everybody here, are these only the two items that we're going to want to take out?
Correct. If we could let Anna address the cat leashing.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
The no running at large is a state law, and we essentially have that in here, and then we define what a leash is with regards to a dog, but you have to have someone able to control it. But that's state law, you can't have your...
To a dog, not a cat.
You can't have animals running outside at large, it's state law.
It doesn't specifically say
State law.
Does it?
So we're following state law on this?
Right. The leash we defined a little bit differently. We said that you can't, for example, have a little kid walking a dog that's a big pit bull or something.
That he can't control.
You have to be able to control the animal.
That I understand. That makes sense.
Right, but you have to have animals leashed when they're outside. That's state law.
Regardless. Regardless if it's a dog.
Alderman Tempest and then Alderman Beedling.
And then, if I may ask your wisdom, even if it's feral cats, we have them spaded, we turn them loose. They're not on a leash.
Right, they're kind of a different category.
Kind of a different cat, I know that.
Category.
Alderman Tempest, don't go there or we will be holding. You know that don't go there, don't go there, don't go there.
Alderman Beedling,
They don't have an owner.
if I could. Alderman Beedling.
Yes.
Could you read me the tethering portion?
Sure. Right now, we do have a tethering ordinance. It's just kind of hidden in another section, but we did strengthen the tethering ordinance. So now you have to be outside with the animal if you're going to tether it.
Why? And by tether, you mean a chain on it?
Right, connected to
I
a
can't
stationary.
chain my dog to my apple tree and with a pail of water out there, a nice long leash, that's illegal? That's illegal on my property. You take my dog out there, I'm inside the house, and I got a chain on him, and I didn't have a fence at the time, and I wouldn't leave him out there very long. He always had water. I'd leave him out 2 hours, go check on my dog, or he'd let me know to come see him. And you're telling me that's illegal by this ordinance?
As presented.
Right now, you can't
Well, you know, Mayor, I hate to tell you, we got too many laws. I agree.
Please.
Right now, our ordinance is that you can't tether unless you're home with the animal. This would be a change that you can't tether unless you're outside with the animal, and that's because of a lot of the dog bites are dogs that are tethered.
do that
They get
anymore.
aggressive, then they pull the stake
Right.
out, and they become more aggressive.
Your Honor, real quick.
Hold on a second. Alderman Beedling, I think, was still commenting.
I have no problem with that myself. We always chained our dog outside. I grew up in North Chicago. Be out there for a couple hours, maybe like Alderman Tempest's dog. I mean, people who are responsible dog owners that traditionally do that, we're going to be writing them tickets now?
Hire another guy to take care of it.
That's wrong.
Alderman Moisio.
I may mind everyone, in my ward, 3 or 4 years ago, someone tied a dog up to the front porch, went inside, girl walking down the street, there was 2 dogs, and they mauled her. Now, that's fine if you want to go that way. But then when someone comes up here because someone's kids got mauled, I want you to have the same answers.
Right.
I am adamantly against someone who ties up a dog. That's just the way I am. I have 2 dogs. I've always had dogs. I never tie my dog up. I always build a fence.
Alderman Newsom.
And I think the reason why they say you can't tether is I've had in my ward that people will tie their dogs up when they're gone all day. Then these dogs are barking all day because the owner is not there, and then they're causing a nuisance to the neighbors. So if you tie the dog up, you should be in their presence, because as long as you're in their presence, they're not going to bark because they're at home. They're with you.
Yes.
Alderman May?
A responsible dog owner, in my opinion, is not going to tether their dog and not have it in their sight. So I stand behind the tethering chapter of this.
Yeah, and if I might add, too, although I don't have any dogs currently, but I've had them since going back into 1962 when I got my first dog. You know, there's a couple of things that we also don't remember, too, which is that when a dog is tethered and another dog comes onto the property that may be aggressive that is not tethered, the tethered dog doesn't stand a chance. So the thing of it is that you have to make sure that you're present with your animal to make sure that the animal is safe, that it's secure in the yard. The fence is the best way to own a dog. That's just the best way to do it. But it's something that there are a lot of ramifications to leaving your dog tethered, and even, Alderman, if I might, going into your home to watch television for a little bit and leaving the dog out there because they are exposed to a certain extent. Alderman Rivera.
You know, I have a teacup Yorkie, so I would never leave my little dog out there tethered. So, you know, this ordinance, this law was made specifically for people that are just plain irresponsible.
Right.
And it's unfortunate that the good people, the responsible owners of pets, you know, they're getting the raw deal of this. But you know, I agree in changing some of the things, but the tethering, I have to, I agree with that.
Your Honor. Your Honor.
Yes, who spoke? I'm sorry. Alderman Cunningham, sorry.
Your Honor, you know, I think if you take a look at the Alderman Tempers of the world, who are the responsible owners, I can see where they have problems with this. The unfortunate part is we have people have really come, you know, fascinated with having dogs, particularly pit bulls. Mm-hmm. And at one point it used to be Doberman Pinschers, German Shepherds. Now it's the pit bulls. Those irresponsible owners are causing havoc throughout the city of Waukegan. If I can really go back to a couple of incidents that happened in the first ward where these two pit bulls just ran, you know, wild. They broke loose from their front yard, from being tethered. And for those who understand what tethered means, tied up in the front yard, tied up in the backyard, and no one's around. Once they get out, there is no more control. So for the irresponsible owners that happen to be out here in our community, they're really putting other animals and responsible owners in danger. And I think we have to make that decision, what's in the greater interest of our city. And I think Alderman Moisio is absolutely right. You need to be watching, particularly some of these bigger and animals are just, you know, they see other dogs, they get aggressive. And I want to speak to Alderman Newsom's point, this barking dog thing. I tell you, you get more calls on dogs that are barking, and I don't understand, and sometimes the owners are on the inside. It has to disturb them if it's disturbing me. So, you know, for us to at least be able to enforce those things right now, I think we need this ordinance on the book, just a means of enforcing. And I know the Animal Control Division. They do not go out and mess with irresponsible pet owners. They just don't. Believe me, they had enough work to do with those who are not irresponsible and animals are running wild. So I think this is a good ordinance for us to at least have some enforcement teeth in there in the event. So that's what I really want. Irresponsible owners. This is the key here, and there are a lot of them out there. And you can see it in the dogs as they're walking up. You're walking up and down and looking at some of these animals. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Well said. Corporation Counsel, I'm going to look to you to help guide us through this process at this point.
Assuming the council wishes to entertain the bulk of this ordinance this evening, there'd be a motion made, I believe it's already been made by Alderman Moisio, lacking a second at this point, to amend the animal ordinance before the council this evening to exclude section 4-67, referring to animal breeding licenses, and to leave the remainder of the ordinance as is. That would be the motion to amend. We need a second and then a vote on the amendment.
Okay, I'll take a second.
That is my motion.
Second on the motion. Do we have a second on Alderman Moisio's motion? Seconded by Alderman Newsom. On the motion, that would be a
Motion to amend.
motion to amend would be a roll call.
Yes.
Yeah, roll call on that. Motion to amend, please.
Alderman Tempest.
I'll vote aye because some of the factors that I'm concerned about, basically, we need to do something. And I believe the idea that if a dog is tied up outside, mine's an offense, by the way, but if they are tied up outside, the owner should be present there to see their well-being. And I think the ordinance takes care of that, that the owner needs to be within view of the animal that is tethered outside, therefore to be legal. Am I correct?
I think that was my understanding, yes.
That's what I understand. Thank you, Your Honor. I explained it.
Alderman May.
Aye.
Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moisio.
Aye.
Alderman Beedling.
Aye.
Alderman Newsom.
Aye, and I'd like to say something too regarding this issue. Excuse me, just 2 weeks ago, I had a resident call me. Their son was attacked by a pit bull, lives in an apartment, and this dog got loose and attacked this kid. So we have to have something in place to protect our residents. I think the laws are made for those that are lawless. And if you're abiding by the law, these ordinances will not affect you. They're for the people that are not abiding by the law.
I agree, and I think it's in the best interest of the animal. So the motion to amend has passed, and now we will make a motion to approve as amended. Motion by Alderman May, seconded by Alderman Moisio to approve as amended. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman May.
Aye.
Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moisio.
Aye, thank you, the rest of my
Beedling.
colleagues.
Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
The ayes have it, and what will happen next would be that that portion that was excised this evening will be returned to committee for reconsideration and probably come out as an ordinance on its own, as opposed to amending something. This would be its own ordinance, I would assume. We can insert it. Okay, we'll get there. All right, so the ayes have it.
Thank you. Next item. The Judiciary Committee recommends to approve an ordinance to repeal Section 11-29 of Chapter 11, Health and Sanitation, of the City Code of the City of Waukegan, and I so move.
We have the motion by Alderman May, seconded by Alderman Valco.
Can I speak to that real quick, Mayor?
Please.
It should be to amend. To amend.
We're on to item C now.
Yeah, it should be to amend, not to repeal.
Yeah, we did the vote to amend that one.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's written, I'm
This
reading
is
off of
repeal.
the agenda, not my motion.
It should be repeal and amend.
To repeal, oh, I see.
No? Just amend.
Okay.
This amendment is removing the language from the health and sanitation portion of City Code regarding animals and fowl. This has now been covered in the new animal ordinance, Chapter 4, that we just passed. It is to repeal that paragraph.
Okay.
As
let's
originally- as my
let's read
original
this
motion.
one more time, please.
The Judiciary Committee recommends to approve an ordinance to repeal Section 11-29 of Chapter 11, Health and Sanitation of the City Code of the City of Waukegan. And as I said, there was language removed that is now covered in Chapter 4 that we just passed.
We have the motion by Alderman May, seconded by Alderman Moisio. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman May.
Aye.
Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moisio.
Aye.
Alderman Beedling. And Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Next item, the Judiciary Committee recommends a motion to approve an ordinance to amend Section 2-525 of Chapter 2, Administration of the City Code of the City of Waukegan, and I so move.
We have the motion by Alderman May to, excuse me, I got off page here, so I apologize. Motion by Alderman May to approve an ordinance to amend Section 2-525 of Chapter 2 Administration of the City Code of the City of Waukegan. Second by Alderman Rivera. Roll call, please.
Could we have the clerk please read that ordinance?
Yes, please. Mr. Clerk, do you have that before you?
Which ordinance is that?
I don't know what it is.
Not real sure.
I have it.
I just have all the easements.
We're making sausage up here tonight.
I haven't seen this.
I don't have that.
Okay, which one is that, Newt? That's,
Item D.
okay, what part do you want read?
What this ordinance is doing is...
Which part would you like?
Larry?
I'm sorry.
What it is.
Okay, hold on.
The ordinance is adding in language, it's with regard to the way the animal tickets are issued. Right now, the section that refers to the animal ticket says that you automatically get a hearing date, but you actually don't. You get the right to request a hearing. And so we're just amending the section to say on the ticket, you'll either have your ticket hearing date or you'll have the right to request the date. Because you don't get a date automatically on the ticket.
Right now, the ordinance does not include language, the ability to request the hearing.
Fine, that sounds good.
That's all.
but I think we ought to know what we're voting on.
Okay. All right, we have the motion before us. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest. Aye. Alderman May.
Aye.
Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moisio.
Aye.
Alderman Beedling. Alderman Newsom.
Ayes have it. Thank you.
Now, for the next 6, you just want me to read through all 6 simultaneously?
Yeah, all in a row. Yep.
Okay. The Judiciary Committee recommends to approve the EJ&E easement release for railroad tracks, spurs, and switch tracks, to approve roadway easement release to maintain and use roadway, to approve General Motors easement release for drain line, to approve General Motors easement release for gas transmission line, to approve General Motors easement release for sanitary sewer lines, a water intake line, and railroad switching rights, and to approve General Motors easement release for a roadway. And I so move.
Okay, we have the motion by Alderman May, seconded by Alderman Moisio. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman May.
Aye.
Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moisio.
Aye.
Alderman Beedling. Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Thank you. The next item, the Judiciary Committee recommends a motion to approve an ordinance amending Chapter 14 of the City Code of the City of Waukegan regarding license suspension procedures, and I so move.
The motion by Alderman May, seconded by Alderman Newsom. Roll call, please. Do we have a question? Yes, Alderman.
And I did get it clarified. I was concerned that, this had to do with, establishments that involve liquor, and that the DRB would be hearing these cases, and I was concerned about that. But since then, I had it clarified that this is strictly for, business licenses for apartments, things of that nature. But what I'm concerned is, and I know a business license is also an establishment, like entertainment establishments, liquor stores, those are business licenses as well.
Right.
But if it has to do with any infraction of liquor, that should still be heard by the liquor commissioner and staff.
Well, what I normally do is I have a designee that hears for me
Yes.
at hearings. So
And I wanted to ask you about the designee.
Sure.
The designee, since you're mayor, normally mayor pro tem, when you designate anybody else as mayor pro tem, it's usually the alderman.
Not in a hearing situation.
But in a hearing situation, I noticed one hearing that you had the liquor commissioner pro tem. Now,
That was the
as
hearing
liquor
officer.
commissioner,
Right.
And I've yet to hear a response to that. Are you allowed to do that by
Yes.
law?
We have been doing that and I wasn't the first person to do this. This was done before as well. We use the hearing officer quite often that it has the adjudication process here. She'll hear traffic tickets and things like that. So she's very well versed in the procedure and the laws that are existing in our ordinances. Right. So we have felt very comfortable using her. It's not something that we invented. It's something that's been done before. So what it does is it takes some of the politics out of the situation that could occur if an elected official sometimes is hearing, especially in this town, which can be rather small at times. We all tend to know one another, and I want to make sure that there is no feeling that there's anything untoward being done. That's why I like to have a neutral party hear a lot of the liquor issues that we deal with. Just a second, please. Let the Alderman.
Now, the people that are involved in the hearing, which yourself, the liquor commissioner,
or my designee.
Also, or your designee, plus the chief of police, plus the building permit, the administrator of permits. Right. Yeah. Are those the three? And of course, Corporation Counsel.
Ann Lynn is normally.
Ann Lynn
takes care of that for us.
Okay. All right.
Yes, that's correct.
Again, I refer to this ordinance, which has nothing to do with liquor commission. With that type of hearing, I just wanted to make sure that I was very concerned about that type of, I don't want to say power, but that type of serious decision-making when it comes to a license be given to the DRB, excuse me. I have concerns with that, and
well, other types of licenses,
when they're voting on something as serious as that.
Understood. Other types of licenses also go before Development Review Board for review as well when there are violations. And the way it works is that staff will come to me, they will present me with what the violations are. We look at the severity of them, we discuss what would be the best approach, given what's going on. And decide whether it needs to go before Development Review Board, the Liquor Commission Board, whatever is the best venue for it. So I'm included in the process as far as direction and which way it goes, but I stay neutral on the outcome. As far as ordering them what to do and how to adjudicate, I try to stay neutral on it, so that it really is more of a, again, it's a non-political process. I still do my duty as liquor commissioner in reviewing complaints, reviewing violations, talking it over with our police department quite often, actually, ad nauseum, about over and over again that we have these repeat violators, repeat situations, and we direct from there. So it's not something where I'm totally removed from the process, but I did feel that it can become politicized when you have an elected official sitting up there. And again, I know a lot of these people. I've met them. I've talked to them. I was involved in their approval of their licenses.
Well, I just want to make sure that, number one, that is totally fair on both sides, not only for the business that's, in this situation, but as far as protecting the city of Waukegan as well.
Right.
And that's just my main concern, Mayor.
And I understand, and this was, again, we got opinion from council on this. They said that this was an appropriate way to go about it. It doesn't abrogate my position as the liquor commissioner. I still take complaints. I still listen to problems. We still discuss at length what solutions should be applied to them. But the actual hearing part of it, again, as I said, we were concerned about any political aspects being brought in so that the final adjudication we felt would be taken out of an elected official's hands. Now, it is something that was allowed. It is not against any law or ordinance. We still involve the liquor commissioner in the process to the point of where the hearing is held. I approve the person who's going to be the adjudicator. Like I said, quite often that is somebody who has served the city in that capacity in other types of hearings. Alderman May and then Alderman Tempest.
Just before we vote, I just want to be very clear that we're not voting on anything that has to do with liquor licenses. There's an entire different chapter that addresses liquor
point of order, we've gotten a
licenses.
little bit off
I
track
just
here.
want to make sure that we're very clear. We're not voting on liquor licenses.
This has got nothing to do with liquor. We just got
this
off track.
allows us, if we have a
Way off track.
This is on
person who
business
has a business where there are continuous complaints about what's going on in or around the business or in the business, if as a result of this business being run improperly, that there are complaints from neighbors, if there's violence, if we have repeated phone calls about police having to go to these locations, this is what we use. It's a nuisance situations that we're trying to deal with.
Mayor, my point is, and I'm not off track here, is adjudication fairness. I've seen how some of these cases have gone, and I'm not too happy the way that some of these cases have gone. So that's what I'm looking for, is adjudication fairness.
Well, again,
that's my point.
Everybody that is involved in this has experience doing it. Truthfully, I haven't had somebody come back to me and claim that they were treated unfairly. They may disagree, but I haven't had somebody come back to me and claim they were treated unfairly. But I think I understand what your comments are regarding, which is probably not appropriate to discuss right up here right now because it's not germane to what's before us.
Well, number one, why do you think I haven't done that? But you exactly know what I'm talking about.
I do know.
And
it has to do with liquor licenses, and this doesn't.
Right.
So what's before us is not a liquor-related matter.
And I just wanted to make sure that that was clear, and I said, as I said before, it was clarified to me earlier before all of this.
We're
I
understood
just wanted to
then.
make my point on the adjudication process.
Okay.
Period. So,
Well,
thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Tempest.
If I may, Your Honor, liquor license over here, state statute, you are the liquor commissioner, you make the decisions. Of course, you have your legal counsel with you, but that's state statute. We know that when we didn't get the gambling vote. Okay, the next thing, when did the DRB, Development Review Committee, take charge over licenses that may be suspended?
You know something? That's a process I inherited from the first day I came in. So I cannot answer.
Recall that.
I can't answer to when that happened. But they are involved in.
I see a problem here. You got a DRB, and you say it's not political. Mayor, I've been around too long. Everything's political.
Yeah.
God Almighty.
The business we're in.
But we try to be fair and honest about it.
Yeah.
Really, and I commend you for that. However, I don't like to give up my elected responsibility to the taxpayers in my ward and the city, and I take that very seriously, to have a DRB that's appointed make decisions. They're all right to make decisions and recommend to this body, but I think this body should have the final say. Now, that's what I would like to see amended in here. Yeah, most time we follow their recommendations. Look at how in committees and so forth. But I think we should reserve the right as city council members to make the final decision. I could see how some things could go bad. I know we have a problem on possibly suspending a license in the 6th ward. And I've seen criticism of that, but I think we took the right path to time, get it taken care of. If it don't, okay. Now, if you're going to suspend a license, what direct process? Does that go to the DRB board, which happens to be the chief of police? They're all political appointments.
Right. Well,
chief of police.
Understood.
Hell, he better say hello to you. Fire chief better say hello to you. Haggerty better say hello to you. They're all on that board. And I know it's a close vote, but it does help you maybe make administrative decisions. You got a board with all these minds working for you. What's the best thing to do for the city? I agree. Well, if they make a decision, it should be recommended, I think, and come back to this final body. That's my opinion. I don't like to give up my elected responsibility that I feel is my elected responsibility.
Understood, and as I said, this is a process that was in place when I came in, and has been, from my understanding, for a while. So I cannot explain to you how it got to that way. All I know is that from the standpoint of doing things legally, I've been advised that we are following the letter of our ordinances and our laws and regulations. You know, truthfully, I have to be honest with you, in some of the cases that may have been heard that were liquor related, you probably would be glad that I wasn't hearing them, because there would be some major changes in some of our licensing, and I think we sort of.
But you are the liquor.
I am, in the standpoint of, again, it is legal for me to allow someone else to sit in the adjudication process.
I gotta pay them instead of you.
Well, I'm still doing my job as well. I'm still rendering the final call to go ahead and remove the license. I work on their recommendation. Also to approve, also to do other issues that may be related to violations on it.
Okay. I made my point, I guess.
I understand. But I mean, it's something that if you would like us to have Ann Lynn, who oversees this body and this process from the standpoint of the city, she's not here this evening, I don't believe, but it's something that we could certainly ask her to come and give an overview, a little bit of a history of DRB and what their relationship is. We can certainly do that, and I have no problem asking her to see if she can be at the next meeting to explain to you how that works and how it was a process that I inherited. I didn't start it.
With all due respect, can we call the question?
I'd like to hold it over.
This has to do with business licenses, and that's fine if that's what you would like to do.
I'd like to hold it over, and I'd like to talk to Ann Lynn, maybe.
You'd like to hold it over? Okay. All right, so item K is being held over.
And Your Honor, just so we're clear, when Ann does come up to speak with us, I want her to go over this relinquishing of power. And I know you said you inherited this particular process, but as far as I was concerned, and I don't know about any other alderman, that was not the process in which I was led to believe what was going on. I was under the clear impression that you oversaw all of those hearings, and you rendered a decision on all of those hearings. So if that is a process that you inherit, and that's part of or legally within our ordinance, I hope Ann Lynn can explain to me and maybe to others as how that came about. But thank you for holding that over.
We'll ask her to provide you with as much of the history as she possibly can.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Sure. That concludes judiciary.
Excuse me, Mayor?
Yes.
I don't know if this is proper. There's an item under new business, which it actually was on the Judiciary Committee agenda at the same meeting that all the items that we just voted on. And there is, the attorney for the county is here to listen to this item, and we did have a special Judiciary Committee meeting this evening to address the right of first refusal. Can we move that up to?
So move.
Okay.
Second. Yes.
I'm sorry, who moved first? Alderman Cunningham. Second was by Alderman Tempest to take out of order. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, we will go to item 10, new business, recommended actions by Corporation Counsel. Item C, Alderman May, since this came through your committee, if you'd like to read it, please.
Thank you. The Judiciary Committee makes a motion to approve an agreement with the County of Lake for right of first refusal on the tuberculosis sanatorium, and I so move.
A motion by Alderman May, seconded by Alderman Rivera. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman May.
Aye.
Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moisio.
Aye.
Alderman Beedling. Aye. Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Item C is approved. Okay, we will go back to order now.
Public Works Committee.
I'm sorry.
Public Works Committee.
Yes, I realize that. I was just about ready to say that. Public Works Committee, Alderman Moisio.
I'm just trying to keep us on track here. Item A, request permission to award the bids for the copper horns and hydrants. Motion to recommend that the City Council authorize the proper city officials permission to award the bids for the copper horns and hydrants. Please see attached list for low qualified bidders, and I so move.
Motion by Alderman Moisio, seconded by Alderman Rivera. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest. Alderman May.
Aye.
Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moisio.
Aye.
Alderman Beedling. Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Item B, request permission to award the bids for the manhole and catch basin frames and grates. Motion to recommend that the City Council authorize the proper city officials permission to award the bids for the manhole and catch basin frames and gates, and I so move.
Just one moment. Okay. We have the motion by Alderman Moisio, seconded by Alderman May. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, this is bids. This is to award the bids.
They're to award the bid.
Award bids.
Okay.
Yeah, they all are.
Okay.
Oh, you got the old one.
Oh, okay. Got it.
What I do with my pen?
Okay.
Public safety.
Greg, this is awarding bids?
Yes.
Award bid.
That's what
We
it is.
awarded the bids in the committee, so I'm assuming we're awarding the
Okay.
bids now. Thank
Well,
you.
we had a typo here, so.
It's for B? Okay. Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman May.
Aye.
Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moisio.
Aye.
Alderman Beedling. Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
And the last item, item C, request permission to award the bid for the MFT concrete and asphalt. Motion to recommend the City Council authorize the proper city officials permission to award the bid for the MFT concrete and asphalt, and I so move.
Motion by Alderman Moisio, seconded by Alderman Rivera. Roll call, please.
I thought that was going to be held over.
No.
No, that's, no.
No.
The the concrete was. Tom? The concrete.
Concrete has to be rebid.
Oh, was it concrete in it?
Concrete.
Tom, it's a rebid on the concrete.
Tom, what are we dealing with here?
It was complete.
Oh, concrete, but he was going to have to buy concrete as an on-need basis.
Didn't tell us that.
Right, he'll explain.
This is permission to award the asphalt material purchase that will be, and permission to rebid the concrete.
What the motion I heard.
No, you're right, yeah, that's
It was
right.
changed in committee
Yeah.
to what was on
That
there.
ain't the motion I just heard.
Okay.
That's why I did what I did.
Do we need to change the language of this?
Right.
Amend.
Amended.
We need to amend item C so that it reflects that it's also the motion to award both the asphalt.
No, it would be,
No.
it would be, hold on, it would be motion to recommend that City Council authorize the proper city officials permission to award the bid for the MFT asphalt and rebid concrete.
Okay.
We need to vote on the amendment.
The motion as amended, motion by Alderman Moisio, seconded by Alderman Tempest. All in favor amending, say aye. Roll call. Sorry, roll
Alderman
call.
Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman May.
Aye.
Alderman Valco. Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moisio.
Aye.
Alderman Beedling. Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Ayes have it. So now to approve as amended.
As amended.
Roll call, please.
Who's the second?
Oh, did we have the motion?
Motion by Moisio, seconded by who?
Rivera.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Alderman
Did we make
Tempest.
that motion first, and then you brought up the issue?
Alderman Tempest. Alderman May.
Aye.
Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moisio.
Aye.
Alderman Beedling. Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thanks for catching that, Alderman Tempest.
Okay. That concludes Public Works.
Yes.
Okay, next, Public Safety, Alderman Conken.
Thank you, Mayor. Public Safety Committee met tonight at 6 p.m. Our first item on the agenda, item A, is a request for authorization to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the County of Lake. The Public Safety Committee recommends, and I so move, to approve the request from the Waukegan Police Department that the proper city officials be authorized to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the County of Lake, granting $5,638 of the joint award of $28,189 from the 2012 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Program Award to the County of Lake, and $22,551 to the City of Waukegan. I so move.
Motion by Alderman Conken, seconded. Somebody say second.
Cunningham.
Alderman Cunningham, seconded by Alderman Cunningham. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman May.
Aye.
Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moisio.
Aye.
Alderman Beedling. Alderman Newsom.
Ayes have it.
Item B is a request to solicit bids for a maintenance agreement and site-specific repairs for the emergency warning siren system. The Public Safety Committee recommends, and I so move, that the proper city officials be authorized to solicit bids for a maintenance agreement and site-specific repairs for the emergency warning siren system. I so move.
The motion by Alderman Conken, seconded by Alderman Cunningham. Voice vote, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Item C is to approve payment of annual membership assessment fee to the Northeastern Illinois Regional Crime Lab. The Public Safety Committee recommends, and I so move, that the proper city officials be authorized to pay the 2012-2013 annual membership assessment fee and maintenance agreement fee of $111,634.27 to the Northeastern Illinois Regional Crime Lab at 1000 Butterfield Road, Suite 1009, Vernon Hills, Illinois 60061. I so move.
Motion by Alderman Conken, seconded by Alderman Valco. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman May.
Aye.
Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moisio.
Aye.
Alderman Beedling. Alderman Newsom.
Ayes have it. Thank you.
Item D is the anti-aggressive panhandling ordinance. The Public Safety Committee recommends, and I so move, that the proper city officials be authorized to adopt an ordinance amending the Waukegan Code of Ordinances in Chapter 15, offenses regarding panhandling. I so move.
Corporation Counsel and I discussed this a little bit ago regarding the language that's actually on the agenda for this evening, and it doesn't call for an action. It doesn't make it an action item. Now, we did say that it could be amended to become an action item. Is that correct? I just want to make sure that we handle this right.
I would suggest that we use it tonight as a discussion item. I think that were there to be some sort of challenge to the ordinance, not having passed it with all the T's crossed and I's dotted could potentially be problematic. So if there is an urgency, we can go ahead. We'll have to amend it to adopt the ordinance or pass the ordinance, but the absolute safest way would be to deal with it the next session. Right. But I'll defer to the council's judgment.
Chief Greathouse, is there any urgency behind this?
No, sir. Okay.
All right. Hold it over.
Okay.
Hold it over then.
We'll bring it up for the
Mayor?
next. Yes, Alderman Rivera.
And I did bring up a concern, and there was a potential of First Amendment violations. And that's what I was very concerned on how we were going to be enforcing this. So I'm glad that we're going to look into this a little more. That's one of the concerns that we have in terms of protecting the city.
Sure.
We don't want to get into any legal quagmire in regards to this, so appreciate it.
Yeah, and just so everybody understands that our ordinance was drawn from an ordinance that exists in the city of Indianapolis, and I don't know if it was exactly word for word, but it was very close to that ordinance, which did survive a Seventh Circuit Court challenge. But at the same time, I think it wouldn't hurt anything at all to hold it over for another couple of weeks, talk a little bit more about it. If you have any comments, concerns, make sure you talk to Corporation Counsel. Ann Lynn was the one drafting this, so I think we're going to sit down and make sure that, as you're saying, that everything is in order, and then bring it back and be prepared for a vote at the next City Council meeting. But it is something we would like to have in place for this summer as we do more and more activities, not just downtown, but we're getting complaints about Lewis Avenue Plaza, other places where it's going on. We want to be able to have a law that addresses it, but is also recognizing that there are First Amendment protections, and there's humanity involved in this too. So, but the law from Indianapolis, we feel, is a good one to adopt and to look at. But we'll have it back for you at the next City Council meeting.
Thank you, Your Honor. Also, for information only, the Waukegan Police Department received a forfeiture check in the amount of $3,755.68 from the Illinois State Police and equitable sharing payments in the amount of $538,341.77 from the U.S. Department of Justice Drug Enforcement Administration, and the chief has told me those checks have been deposited.
That's great.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Good news. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. Next, we have Labor Relations Committee. And I understand from the meeting that we held the other day that Alderman Cunningham has, wants to have this held over. So what we'll do is, Alderman, if you would like to, make the request vocally here, then what we've done is we set up a time next week to have a committee of the whole combined with Labor Relations to discuss the issues that you were concerned about, and then to see whether we want to bring them forward to the next City Council meeting. So, Alderman, are you prepared to ask that this be held over?
At this time, Your Honor, I'd like to have this held over. There are numerous points that have been made, not only from my issues, but also others from other aldermen, so I'd like to have this held over.
Before he holds it over.
Yes, Alderman.
I'd like to make a few comments.
Please.
One of my big complaints, a little history lesson again, about 6 years ago, we had a gentleman in the police department got his doctorate degree on it, not across the way. We finally came up with the idea that we would no longer pay for graduate courses. No way going to pay you to get your master's degree on the city of Waukegan. If it was that important for the job, maybe we should have hired somebody with that qualification. And now I understand in the ordinance, and I want all of you to think about it, is they want to put it back in. I am violently opposed to it. I don't think I should pay for somebody else's master's degree or put toward a master's degree. I have to earn my dollars and pay my own way to get my master's degree. I don't think it should be on the taxpayers of this city. And that's my comment. Then if we're going into that, we ought to take a look at the salaries. The alderman already voted for the next 4 years, no salary increase. We need to look at the treasurer's and the mayor's salary for the next 4 years. How are we going to reduce it, freeze it, go to the city manager? Some of those thoughts we ought to be taking a look at and do some deep thought on it, because those issues need to be addressed in the salary ordinance, because we have to pass that within 6 weeks, is it, or 6 months of the election, I believe. So we need to get that behind us and taken care of. The alderman took care of it right away, and I think we can set an example. We have the alderman already, not like Chicago alderman, by the way. We have taken care of that. So if you guys would think about, especially, I am opposed to graduate givebacks when it hasn't been done for the last 6 years, or it should not have been done in the last 6 years, because that went through labor relations a long time ago, that we would no longer do that. And I remember Steve Russo wanted to get it, some other people in the police department wanted to get it, and they were told, no, we no longer do it. So, okay, I made my thoughts, and I'll
Thank you, Alderman.
try and get more information.
Mayor, point of order, please.
Alderman Valco.
Alderman Conkin wanted to hold it over. Are we holding it over, or are we putting it into committee?
You're putting it back into
committee. I would say we're putting it back in the committee.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Back in the committee?
Oh, instead of the committee.
Is that a motion?
We'll take a motion.
Yeah, motion by Alderman Conkin to return back to committee, seconded by Alderman Cunningham. Is that a roll call? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. So that meeting is scheduled, and it should be on everybody's calendar. So we'll have an open discussion at that time, and we'll see which direction you guys want to go in.
This is not going, Mayor?
Yes.
Point of order. This is not going back to Labor Relations Committee.
Yes.
It's going back to Committee of the Whole, or?
I believe it would have to go to Labor Relations to be acted on after discussion, just like the meeting today.
Sure.
The action item would then be taken through Labor Relations.
All right.
I'm just looking to see what the date is on there. Bear with me a second. I think it is next
May 16th.
May 16th at 4 o'clock. Committee of the Whole in these council chambers. Okay. Let's see. That finishes labor relations. Under old business, we have item A, which is the approval of the annual appropriation ordinance of the City of Waukegan, Illinois, for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2012, and ending April 30th, 2013. This was previously held over by Alderman Tempest. And what are the City Council wishes tonight? Alderman Rivera.
For one, I'd like to, the two options that we have in front of us, correct? Option 1 and option 2. If you could read those two options. Option 1 is excluding the $10 million neighborhood initiative program.
That was already done, Alderman.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. That, I believe that was removed either...
No,
it wasn't
that's what
removed?
we're voting on.
Oh, I thought Alderman Tempest had that.
No.
Made the motion.
Right.
Oh,
Spoke against it.
okay.
Yeah, but it excludes the neighborhood transformation initiative program.
Okay.
But it includes the
grant.
the safer the grant.
Okay. Include the safer grant.
No. Safer fire.
Oh, excuse me, fire. Yeah,
The safer grant.
the safer grant.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
What about the police one?
Okay.
Police one.
Well, you can amend it without actually acting on it, just do the amendment tonight, right? Yeah. So, I mean, if the only action you wanted to do this evening was exclude the 10 million and include the safer, we can do that tonight and then hold over the rest for, another meeting then. So do we have a motion then?
I so move.
Would you like to state your motion again for the record, please?
Well, I move to approve option number 1. Read it here, 1 second.
Hold on just one moment.
I got it right here.
You got a police one, too. No, we have. Good. Oh, I voted for that, yeah.
So, well, Alderman, I think there was just from the standpoint of what you just said, you're actually voting to not approve but to amend. You're moving to amend. No, the appropriations. Yeah, appropriations ordinance, excluding excluding the 10 million and including the safer grant. Now, that's what you need to say in your motion.
Right.
Could you divide those motions, please, because there's two different issues.
We could. Sure. So, Alderman Rivera, why don't we do this? Make the motion to exclude the $10 million from the Neighborhood Transformation Initiative.
Motion to approve the annual, excuse me, go ahead. Tina?
Just to clarify so we don't do this wrong.
Right.
The 10 million is not in the appropriation. The appropriation is the expenditure side, okay? There was 10 million on the revenue side.
All right.
The safer grant was already in the appropriation ordinance. So the amendment should be to exclude the neighborhood transformation initiative, and then just, you'll have to read the dollar amounts to amend the total appropriation to this amount, 137,769.
137,000,000.
That's all you have to do.
769. Too much going on. 136.
You said the 10 million is already out of there?
The 10 million was on the revenue side. We had only planned to spend 3.5 million of that.
Maybe just not touch it. You know what, Alderman, could I ask you, let's leave this alone for now. Let us not make any changes to it as exists before us right now, and make sure that what we do say and what we do present and any changes are well-defined and well-written. There's no harm in leaving this in because the money's not being spent.
Right.
So there's no harm in leaving it, I would assume, unless, Tina, you have a different... Leaving, as far as the leaving the 10 million alone, just leave this language alone until we come back with a better motion.
I could give you the motion right now.
Do you want to do it?
I mean, I could.
Okay.
It's simple, so it would just...
Court counsel.
Obviously, the council will do what it wishes. I would just urge that when we get into the area of appropriations, that we don't cobble together something that we... I would prefer to see the council have a bill that we either vote on or not, and not to be adding and subtracting items.
Oh, an appropriation ordinance, Counselor, you can add and subtract from. What are you talking about? You most certainly can. You go through an appropriation ordinance, you take this out, you add this, you take this out, you add this. You're absolutely wrong.
What I think he means is finance bring to us an appropriation that does not have the $10 million or the $3 million revenue side, and it only adds the safer grant.
Yeah.
Or to bring to us an ordinance that does not have the safer grant in there and does not have the $3 million revenue in there. And we vote on one or the other.
Option 1 or option 2?
Option A or B.
Alderman May.
Which Tina has done. We have appropriation 1 excluding the neighborhood initiative program, and we have option 2 excluding the neighborhood initiative program and excluding the safer grant.
All right.
We got them right here.
Madam Chairman, I think if we go ahead and read the dollar amount, that'll satisfy everything. And the dollar amount reads $137,769,185. I don't care what you say, that's the dollar amount we're going to approve. Right? Am I correct, Tina?
That's the revenue.
I would concur with that assessment,
Right.
that you
Okay.
would make no motion to amend the appropriation as presented in option 1 with the total dollar amount.
Yes.
But I'll defer to the council.
Yeah, I think we hit the dollar amount, that's it. So whatever you want to do, whatever it's in there is not in there, I'm going with the dollar amount that's being presented, Madam Chairman, if you don't mind with that.
Go ahead and make the motion.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Who would like to make that motion?
I mean, I'll make the motion.
Alderman Rivera?
I'll make the motion to
Madam Chairman.
amend the present
You don't have to amend it.
appropriations.
Hold on, everybody. We got too many people talking at once. The Alderman is trying to make a motion. Let's listen so that we know what will be voted on. Alderman.
I would, the motion would be to amend as presented and approve the dollar amount of 137, what is that, million? Or excuse me, 137,769,135, and I so move.
35 or 85?
Well, that's taking appropriation option 1. That's what you want.
What's that?
The option 1.
Okay, you don't want me to put numbers on it?
Option 1 has the numbers already in there.
Okay.
137. Do you want option 1 or you want option 2?
All right.
We don't have to amend it.
Motion.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, then we don't have to amend it?
You have to amend it, but you have to choose an option to amend it with, I would assume.
To amend it to 137,769,135.
Well, that's what I just
You
said.
absolutely did. And I
Second.
And I
Okay.
second it.
We have the second. Roll call, please.
Point of order?
Yes, Alderman
Is
Tempest.
that to exclude the neighborhood
Yes.
$10 million
Yes.
bond
Yes.
issue? And
Yes, sir.
only that?
I
Only
believe that's
that.
what it
At
is.
this point.
Yeah.
Only that.
Well, that-
Yeah.
And we can go on from there.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. The motion and a second. Roll call, please, on the motion to amend.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman May.
Aye.
Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moisio.
Aye.
Alderman Beedling. Alderman Newsom.
No.
The ayes have it. So now what we have is an amended item before us that we are asking to be held over again, I'm assuming. Who will make that request to hold it over?
What hell?
The amended appropriation order.
They want to vote on it.
They want to vote on the appropriation tonight?
No. Right.
To approve or not approve the appropriation?
That's what that was the amendment
As
for.
amended.
Okay.
Wait a minute, you've got the firemen, the safer grant. We haven't done anything on that.
Well,
That's included.
That's included in that
I
version.
make a motion right now to get rid of it. I'll tell you why.
Well, you voted on the first one, and that includes.
No, I asked that
To
very
amend it.
specifically. Did that only take care of the initial program for the 10 million bond? And you can check your recording right now. I said, is this motion number 1 only to get rid of the $10 million neighborhood transformation?
Yes.
Right.
I said
That's correct. That is correct.
So the safer grant is included in
Alderman
there.
Tempest, the safer grant was included in the originally prepared appropriation.
Original, but I'm making a motion now to take it out.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Tempest to remove the safer grant from the appropriations ordinance.
And the safer grant is how many
To
firemen?
amend with that removed. Do we have a second on that?
Wait, you already have one going.
Yeah. Did they move to approve as amended?
No, they,
But they're going to have to.
as amended.
Just
Yeah,
amended
because it's amended, yeah.
Okay, did you hear that, Alderman Tempest? No. That there needs to be a vote on it as amended before you can amend it again, according to the court.
We can amend it, we can amend it again.
It was amended the first amendment. Yeah.
So we need a roll call then.
No, it was,
On the
the first one was passed. That
Right,
was,
that's the
amendment.
To amend.
Yeah, Edie voted no, but
Right.
it passed. So now you got a second motion coming through by Tempest making a second motion. The first amendment passed.
Yeah, no, the amendment passed, but the ordinance didn't pass. So they have to vote on the amended version of the ordinance.
And we wonder
And
why.
then they can amend it again.
I'm confused now.
I'm a little confused on that,
We don't
too. I
need-
would think the amendment would come before.
We can
the
vote on the motion right now. If Alderman Tempest wants to make a motion, that's up to him, but we can vote on the appropriation ordinance right now, as it stands.
Hey, can this be amended?
This is the second amendment being proposed by Alderman.
Can you come up here, Tina? Correct me if I'm wrong. We had option one, which included the neighborhoods and the SAFER grant.
The original appropriation as presented included the Neighborhood Transformation Initiative and the SAFER grant.
Right.
Option one, which right now, the motion to amend that has passed, will take out the Neighborhood Transformation Initiative. It would still include the SAFER grant.
Right.
However, the SAFER grant would still have to come before public safety if we even get granted that from the feds.
Okay.
But right now, the appropriation as amended, the motion, I believe that's on the floor,
To vote on
would be to approve the appropriation ordinance
As amended.
less the Neighborhood Transformation
Right.
Transformation Initiative, sorry, and that's it.
That's what's on the table.
Alderman Tempest.
Thank you.
He can speak to that.
I would not be voting to approve the whole appropriation ordinance this evening. I'd be voting I just voted to take the $10 million bond out of it and thought we would continue going through the appropriation ordinance in an orderly manner. I know you did a very good job of telling me what the new jobs were, if there are any, or so forth, fine. But there's some things that, if you don't go line item by line item, we had a good show and tell, good presentation by you, but it's not line item by line item by line item. And I have some questions. I see SWACO wants $30,000 from us. I have to have a guy down in Springfield. I'm paying him $8,000 a month to give me a little email once in a while. What the hell do I need that for? I mean, you better start thinking money. Then I've got people want me to pay for their master's degrees. I have a library guy that's the highest paid guy in the city. They're running a library with less men than my fireman has and my chief has. Tell me what's wrong with that. You know?
I believe the ordinance that is on the floor would be to approve the appropriation.
Is the appropriation ordinance have $30,000 for the SWACO?
I'm not sure of the exact dollar amount. I can go back and get my book and look it up.
There's a line item for that?
Absolutely.
Oh, it's in there, huh?
Yes.
We're going to cave in. Does North Chicago pay it?
I don't know.
Do you realize that, I'm getting off the subject, Bill, but you realize a little town with 1,000 people has the same vote that we had on the board? And you realize when we first went into SWACO that we gave them a one-time donation. They said they'd never ask us for another money. And you realize that the garbage company is TIF. They have to pay a TIF to SWACO for the dump site, which should take care of our things instead of their high-priced salaries. You know, I'm frustrated. I like to go through it line item by line item, tell you what I don't like, and if I don't win enough of them, I'll vote no. And your dad went through that once. We didn't pass an appropriation ordinance. We don't want to go through that. We don't want to go through that. But there's so many jobs that were hid at one time, but you're honest, you told us no new jobs, so forth. I am concerned that there's no new jobs in the police department. We're down 40 men. Listen to your scanner. Listen to what's happening. You know, we need a few more, at least a few more to show that you care. I don't know how the chief gets by what he's got. I really don't. Yeah, and I really think you need a few more policemen, but I can sure cut other places. I said enough, I guess.
We're hiring new officers.
Yeah, through the grant.
Right.
How many?
8.
8. Well, you probably could use at least a minimum of 2, something more, to show them that we care. Okay, I spoke. I just think we ought to go through it so it's real clear to everybody exactly what's in that appropriation. We got dollars and figures where we're shifting around, but
So what is the desire of the city council tonight?
Mayor, I think there's a motion and it's been seconded to vote on it.
No, it hasn't been seconded.
I'll second it.
to do what?
To do what, Bill?
To vote on the appropriation ordinance.
As amended.
As amended.
We have the motion, who's made the original motion?
Not the
I
second.
made the original motion.
Okay, first,
Just taking out the neighborhood.
Then,
Yeah, so who made the motion now to vote on
it
as
was
amended?
Rivera and May.
Made the motion to
Right.
approve as amended.
As amended.
So we have the second on it already. Then that's a roll call.
point of order, are we talking just amended as is, but it's still, the total appropriation ordinance has not been passed yet? Because tell me how you could go through appropriation ordinance and go through line and take things out as you go along, and then say, well, we took this out, and so now it's passed.
It's presented to you in the packet that you received on April 16th.
I'm aware of that.
And I gave you another copy tonight, and it actually has the amendments made to it within the body of the document.
We got the amendment to take out the $10 million, which you didn't have the votes to pass here tonight, which we really don't have the money to go ahead with a program like that. It's a good thought. But you took that out, but that's all you want to take out. Now you want to pass it as presented.
As amended.
As amended.
As amended, which just those two things. And I'm saying there's a lot more amendments that should be taken. There's a lot more amendments that should be taken if you've read it and go through it.
We'll hold it over then.
I don't think anybody here knows exactly what's in total in that appropriation. I don't believe there's one alderman sitting here that's gone through that whole document, line item by line item, to see what's what. I bet you. We're relying on you.
You want to hold it over?
I'd like to hold it over, yeah.
I don't think we can at this point. The motion has been made and the second is now pending vote.
I would ask it to be referred back to the finance
Do
committee.
you have some, do you want to call the question on this? What is the desire of the city council?
If he has to hold it over.
We have a motion and we have a second on it to approve as amended, less the $10 million that was removed out for the neighborhood program.
Mayor, I'll call for the question because it's already been held over one time, and I don't think you can hold it over 2 consecutive meetings.
I believe you could send it back to finance committee.
You could, sir.
Okay.
But at this point, we're beyond that. We're in the phase of actually having the motions and the second. Question has been called. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
I'd like to have I'd like to amend the motion on the floor.
At this point, you can't, Alderman.
I'd like to amend the motion on the floor, the appropriation, to send it back to Finance Committee. I'd so move.
Alderman, unfortunately, once the vote has begun,
It has. Well, here, I made the motion.
ask for the motion to
Yes, I
amend.
can, because I haven't voted yet.
We have not.
I'm the first to vote. I haven't voted
Right,
yet.
but you don't get to make the motion.
Yes,
to
I
amend
can.
at this
Alderman,
point.
you can make
certainly can.
Alderman, if I may?
Yes.
You can make the motion after when it's voted.
Yeah, once the vote is done.
Once the voting is done,
Now
then
you got the
can bring it up.
appropriation ordinance passed. You're telling me that it's passed.
recognize
I'm
that
telling you,
motion to
you
at this
took
point,
part of it
we're in
because
the
we had some
process of
problems
voting.
with part of it, but we haven't looked at the whole thing. We haven't looked at the whole thing. The $30,000 for SWACO we haven't looked at.
It doesn't matter. We are in the process right now of voting.
No, yeah, because I was the first one, Your Honor, and I
Alderman-
haven't voted.
I know, but Alderman, being the first one doesn't give you
Oh,
the
yes, it
right
does.
then to make a motion to amend during a vote.
I made a motion, I'll ask if there be a second to that motion. If there's not, then we'll go through.
And it was voted on.
That's right.
Right.
And now the motion to accept as amended has been made. We have the first and the second. The question has been called by Alderman Valco. We are in the process of voting on the appropriations ordinance as amended. Please continue.
Alderman Tempest.
Make a motion to send it back to the Finance Committee.
Can't recognize it. Next vote, please, if he's not going to render a vote.
Is there a second to that motion?
The motion can't be heard at this point.
I have a second to the motion.
Alderman, you don't, there is not the appropriate time to make a second. We're in the middle of a vote. This is not the time that you're allowed to do it.
I call for appeal of the decision of the chair.
So we are voting.
I appeal.
The roll call has been started.
I'd like to appeal the decision.
Mr. Clerk, please continue.
Point of order. Appeal the
Point of
decision of the chair.
Alderman Rivera, please.
Again, I repeat, the vote is up right now. We can vote, and then after the vote, once this is passed, you can bring up a motion to bring it back to committee. Alderman?
Reconsider.
Motion to reconsider.
Right. But I believe you'll need what? What is it, 2/3? Corporation Counsel?
Yeah, that's a 2/3.
Can you help us on that?
We're still holding, we're still going through the voting process.
What is the Robert Rules of Order with that?
Only a person who votes in the affirmative can call for the revote on it. Only a person who votes in the affirmative after the vote is done.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking for it to go back to the Finance Committee, because you're telling me it makes a 2/3 vote to bring it back, and it'll only take a 5 vote to do it the other way. So what you're doing, you're sidestepping the possible majority of this council. I'm worried about money being spent. Money being spent in the appropriation orders. You're talking about $8,000 a month to some guy down in Springfield to give you a little computer report which tells you nothing. He's a casino expert, and he's going to help you, but he's also helping down the line that you don't get one up here. I'm confused. You know, then you want SWACO wants $30,000. I don't believe North Chicago pays. They haven't for years. They want us. They want to have the right to assess the city of Waukegan per household. They're not our taxing body. They cannot assess us. We've been through that with them. And I'm sure there's some other things in the appropriation order that I haven't been able to find yet. I'd like to sit down and go through it.
Your Honor?
Mayor?
Your Honor?
Mayor?
Your Honor?
Just a moment. Alderman Moisio.
Coach, tell me if I'm right. The appropriation ordinance just allows us to spend that amount of money. I know there are some issues in there that are of concern of yours. I'm sure there's issues in there of concern of everyone up here. When those issues arise, like the SWACO, the lobbyist, and I'm sure there's others, can we address them at that time? Can we address them at that time and not pay them, like the lobbyist? I'm not happy about that either, but I think in the interest of trying to move things forward and get things moving, can we please pass it, and then when certain things come up, we don't have to vote. We vote on things in committee like Public Works and Public Safety and Finance that we have to approve to spend that amount of money. That's maybe where we need to fight the battle. I agree with you on some points, but I'd like to get this moving and then fight the individual battles on the issues that are of concern when they come up.
Alderman, if I may answer your question, if you appropriate it, you can spend it.
Right.
You're correct. Well, let's give you a little history lesson again. We had the Genesee Theater. We had some gal from Highland Park, my expert from Highland Park. And what did we do? We split the invoice halfway, because I believe you can spend up to, what, $10,000 without, huh? Oh, 20. That's something else we need to change back. Up to $20,000 without council approval if it's in the appropriation order. Hey, so I split the invoice. You lost control. The appropriation gives you control of the purse strings. And don't get me started on another. I don't want to embarrass anybody.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, I have to interject here. Robert's Rules of Order, I believe, is fairly clear in the process that once the vote starts, discussion halts.
And I asked,
and votes are taken.
I asked for
and understood, Alderman, if I might, sir.
I asked for a ruling of the Alderman, or in regards to that, and you haven't done that yet.
Well, the motion
will take care of it.
The motion came after already the process of the vote had begun. So we are right now, discussion does not take place during the process of the vote.
No. I'm not going to give in on that.
Alderman, I must respectfully request that you allow the process to go forward.
I would respectfully request, Your Honor, that you let the council say if they want it to go back to committee or not.
But we have begun a process of voting.
I'm asking the council. I'm asking for
A ruling by
Council
the
is still governed by the same rules and regulations, if I might.
Points of order, which this is, are referred to chair. Chair rules on the point of order.
It's my understanding of Robert's Rules of Order, once the vote has begun, which it has begun, that the individual person voting at that time, this is not a moment for discussion, it is a moment to vote.
You asked for the roll.
Discussion comes before.
But the Alderman, this is if someone, Edie voted before me, you would be correct, but I didn't vote. So therefore, the
But
voting hasn't started.
Actually, it has, because we had the motion and we had the second, and the process of voting has officially begun. And the question was called. We are in the process of voting. Please continue, Mr. Clerk.
Excuse me, doesn't
Yes, sir.
motion a second, then discussion?
I'm sorry, what's that?
We've always heard we had a motion, a second, then any discussion,
No,
and then a
dis-
vote.
Go ahead. We're voting.
The basic rule of parliamentary procedure is that there is one motion pending at a time.
Correct.
A motion was made, there was an amendment made to it, and then the motion was made to approve the amended version. The clerk then began to call the roll on that vote.
No discussion?
Discussion took place prior
Not
to it.
prior to asking for the approval of this amended
I
ordinance?
thought we had been talking about it right up to the moment of where it was amended, and then where it was asked to be voted on as amended, with the call of the question. Those are the processes that take precedent.
I was under the impression that once one motion was called and seconded, discussion could take place regardless of how many amendments were added to it.
The roll call had started at that point. Votes are being taken. We are in the process of voting. Mr. Clerk, if you would please continue.
Alderman Tempest.
I'd like to amend the motion, and refer it back to the Finance Committee. I think you don't have to pass this appropriation ordinance until the end of July.
Next Alderman, please.
The last time it has to be passed.
Next Alderman, please.
This is May.
Alderman May.
Aye.
Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham. Alderman Conken.
No.
Alderman Moisio.
Aye.
Alderman Beedling. Alderman Newsom.
No.
What's our numbers?
Passed.
It passed. So the appropriate ordinance
Well,
passed.
wait a minute, Tempest was, it was 5.
Alderman Tempest was a no response.
5-3, but Tempest didn't vote, so it's.
No, Tempest said automatically goes with majorities. Thank you, so I can bring it up next time. Thank you.
So you're voting aye. Okay.
I automatically have to vote majority, but I don't vote.
Okay.
So
That's it. Set? Okay, thank you. Yeah, 6 in favor. Yeah. So under new business and recommended actions by Corporation Counsel, item A, which is the approval of payroll dated April 18th, 2012 in the amount of $1,241,679.29. Motion by Alderman Newsom, seconded by Alderman May. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman May.
Aye.
Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moisio.
Aye.
Alderman Beedling. Alderman Newsom.
Aye. Aye.
Ayes have it. Item B, approval of bills dated April 7th, 2012 in the amount of $1,900,514.35. Motion by Alderman Newsom, seconded by Alderman Moisio. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman May.
Aye.
Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moisio.
Aye.
Alderman Beedling. Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Item C was already acted on. Item D, motion to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with former inmates striving together, known as FIST, to maintain and operate the concession stand, surrounding parking lots, and the beach area of the Waukegan Municipal Beach beginning May 26, 2012. Motion by Alderman May, seconded by Alderman Rivera. Roll call, please.
Your Honor, I do have I want to make
Yes,
sure this is,
Alderman
I
Cunningham.
want to make sure this is very clear. This is not a volunteer situation from Fisk. This is in a contract with the city of Waukegan to provide services for, I guess, the concession stand. I know in the past, FIST has lent their service to the city of Waukegan as a volunteer organization, but this is not a volunteer situation. They are entering into a contract with us, if I'm not mistaken, to operate the concession stand. Is that correct?
I believe that is correct.
I want to make sure we're clear on that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Alderman. Yes, and why don't you say it?
And also, this is to maintain the beach, cleaning, emptying garbage, and everything else.
Yeah,
but then providing us with some eyes down there as well for security.
And again, but this is a contract. They're not doing it just because. That's what I guess the point I'm trying to get to.
I believe you're correct.
All right,
yes,
thank
sir.
you.
Okay, we have the motion in the second. Roll call, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman May.
Aye.
Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Alderman Rivera.
I vote aye, but I see that we're being protected here too against any injuries, liabilities and losses and damages and costs and payments, so.
Spelled out.
Alderman Cunningham.
Aye, and I want to thank David Motley for really spearheading this and really getting this thing moving too. Thank you, David.
Alderman Conken.
Aye.
Alderman Moisio.
Hi, Joe, you're a good man.
Alderman Beedling. Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you, and thanks again to FIST for all they've done for the city. We appreciate it. You know, if you see guys that are downtown picking up trash and they're wearing their vests, they're cleaning up, you know what, they're really giving back, so we do appreciate it. Thanks for everything. We do have an executive session tonight. That will come following the alderman's comments. So, and that will be on pending litigation. So, Mr. Clerk, for the alderman's time, please.
Alderman Tempest.
Go to executive.
We'll go to executive after the comments. You're up, Alderman. Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
No, you're up for comments. No, sir, you're up for comments.
I never see Joe.
We will after we're done with our comments.
Whoa,
Yeah.
look out, here I go.
He's always a good man, but he's not in your house.
No, everybody's good, man.
I see the Labor Relations Committee came upon, first time in the history we're going to go to a bonus idea, or want to. I asked the personnel director, where did he get the direction from? He said it was him. I don't believe it was. I don't like the bonus program. I taught many, we had a salary schedule, we've had a salary schedule set for years, and we do reward people for years of service, and I think we should. And it's a step program. They know as they get up to .7 or 8 that they'll be topped out, but yet as they're in their job 7, 8 years, research will show you probably after the first 5 they max out, but still you reward them for being a loyal citizen. I think we need to continue that, but somebody to worry about how they react to somebody. If they're not doing their job, write them up and say bye. Make a case. But to say we're going to have a bonus program and only so many people in this department can get this and so forth, I am totally against. I am totally against. And I believe I said this earlier, we need to take a look at the mayor's salary. And I said earlier, the aldermen froze their salary for 4 years. We ought to look at the city clerk's salary, see where there is. We got to realize that there's bonuses. City clerk, extra money for parking administrator. Mayor, extra $10,000 for liquor commissioner. Other people, $5,000, $7,000. Up to, I believe we're up to 15 for labor relation extra work put on. But it should be part of their job. We're in hard economic times. Our tax rate just went to the highest in the history of Waukegan in the last 3 years. From $1.67 last year, $1.98. This year, it's, I think, somewhere with $2.20, somewhere in there, for assessed valuation. Do we have the same amount of money we had last time? No. Library takes up about 25% of the city's tax dollars. Highest paid administrator in the city. I think
the library board needs to take a look at that. They really do. We are in hard economic times. I think we're surviving pretty good so far. I got to compliment the mayor for some of the cuts he made. I think he had to. But we have to be more diligent. And we can't just say, oh, it's only $5,000. Or we can't just say, oh, you know, it's only $8,000 a month. We have to start looking at every item. We have to look at SWACO and say, why do we give them $30,000 more a year all of a sudden? A nice guy, new guy over there. Well, tell him to get his tipping fees from the dump. That's what they should be running off of. We just, tonight, passed an ordinance. I mentioned earlier, you're going to get 8 new police possibly on that grant. We're down 40. I said we got to show a little good faith, maybe at least 2 more. But nobody wanted any more amendments to the appropriation ordinance. But I was on the prevailing side. So I will bring it up again next meeting. The appropriation will be brought up by this Alderman because I didn't vote, so therefore I'm on the prevailing side. A little economic trick I learned a long time ago. Okay? And I think we better start being more conscious of what we're doing and what we're trying to go. I just am real concerned. I'm concerned the way we're headed. Another item I'd like to bring up, I think we ought to look at it very seriously. I believe someone spoke to you, Mayor, in regards to it, and he said I would bring it up. That's on our vacant homes that have been vacant for a year. I think we need to get in there with our building department and make sure when the new owner comes up, they're up to code. I think it protects, they're buying them very, very cheap, but we ought to make sure through our building department that before they get an occupancy permit after a year, that they are up to code and have an inspection fee for that. I would like to see the building department take that up under your direction, Mayor. And that's my comments tonight. I'm sorry I'm so obstinate tonight, but I'm a competitor, and I believe I'm right. I will die being right. So I'm convinced otherwise. Thank you.
Alderman May.
Thank you. I congratulate the council on passing the contract with FIST. I do want to bring to everyone's attention that FIST is working in partnership with the city of Waukegan to bring additional music to the lakefront at the Steiner Pavilion this summer Saturdays. There's a movement started to raise funds through the Kickstarter, if you're familiar with Kickstarter on the web, to raise funds for these Saturdays concerts. We will still have the Waukegan Band Foundation concerts on Tuesday nights, but this group is looking to bring alternative music on Saturdays. So I urge you to find out more about that. I do want to remind everyone, on May 20th is Run with the Bulldogs. It's our only Waukegan 5K that I'm aware of. It's on May 20th. It starts at the corner of Sheridan and Grand. The sophomore class of Waukegan High School sponsors this, and this year they will be raising money for the American Red Cross. You don't have to be a runner. I urge everyone to come out and support the Bulldogs and the American Red Cross on May 20th. That's all I have. Thank you.
Alderman Valco.
I'm a council meeting late on this, but the congratulations from the entire council to Fiamico Restaurant in downtown Waukegan at Grand and Sheridan for being named the best new restaurant in the Chicago area. That's all I have.
Alderman Rivera.
Real quickly, we did have a committee of a whole meeting earlier this evening in regards to the casino. Real quick, I'll let you know what's going on. There is currently a coalition supporting the gaming bill in Springfield now. This week, the bill, 1849, will come to a vote in the House. Now, the reason why the coalition is down there, because they're trying to lobby to try to get 3/5, that's what they need. 3/5 of the vote in the House is needed to override the governor's veto. If passed, it'll go to the Senate, and then there, if it's passed, then a trailer bill can be implemented and implement some of the amendments that we've discussed in the past in terms of revenue sharing. in terms of revenue sharing, making sure that we'll take care of our, the police and fire, and hopefully we can get something in food and beverage and some compensation for the property that we have out there in Fountain Square as well. If failed, this bill will be brought up again in the October-November veto session for a revote. And if that fails again, then a new bill will be introduced, and that's where we can hopefully come up with new strategies that would support the casino coming to Waukegan. But that's what is going on down there. Also, you know, I voted against the $10 million proposal for the addressing, you know, all these vacant homes. And, you know, we have the governments in place for that. Banks are in place to handle that. All we can handle is code violations and things like that. I believe we should stay out of that business. Now, give me, you know, I'll vote for a $10 million proposal for our streets, for our infrastructure. That's where I'd like to see that money go. I'd vote for something like that, but not for something like to put in taxpayers. They want to see work done to their streets. I mean, I've got a lot of issues, and I know all the other aldermen have their issues with their roads. So that's the reason why I voted against the community initiative. Again, that's all I have to say, Mayor. Thank you.
Alderman Cunningham.
I have roughly 4 things, but they're quick. One, I want to thank Chief Greathouse and his team. There was an incident on Ravine recently where a young man had, I think, committed a robbery someplace else, and for some strange reasons decided to run to this particular address on Ravine. The reason I'm complimenting them tonight is if you could have seen the way the entire situation was handled, where through the cooperation of the young lady inside the home who had witnessed some things, to how our dispatch kept her calm, to how she was informing dispatch, and dispatch was relaying that information to the grounds troop, the way the grounds troops came in, calmed the neighborhood, that everything was okay. It was just a class, you know, a classy act of how our police department is able to respond with the help of the community. And the net result, I think, Danny, that you did get the perpetrator. Is that correct? So I just really, really, really want to commend them on how that whole entire effort, and more importantly, in the past, particularly on the southeast side of town, better known as the south side, it has always been a tug-of-war, police, us versus them type of attitude. That through education, I think through community policing, I think through just a better education of exactly what police is there for, is really starting to transition where we are partners in this crime-fighting effort. So I want to thank Danny, you and your troops, and actually, I forget, he's a lieutenant or the sergeant who received the award tonight. I think it was his team who was on there along with, if I'm not mistaken, Lieutenant Quinn. Is that correct? Yes, yeah, and it just is the entire deal. We did have one complaint. It was the young lady's mom. She wanted her daughter out of there early, and I tell you, this goes back to the customer service piece. The sergeant came over, explained why we were doing what we're doing, how we are handling, and her anger went from here to down here in a matter of seconds. And it was, I'm pretty sure I shouldn't say anger, she was pretty upset. It was her child. But it's the procedures in which the police does things. It's just not common to everybody, but I want to commend them for a job well done. Second, put back on my glasses here. I want to congratulate Pastor Washington Francis for over 20 years of service at Shiloh Baptist Church. Many of you know Shiloh is probably one of the oldest Baptist churches in Waukegan, particularly on the south side of Waukegan. Under his leadership, we've really seen that church transform as they expanded their PADS program. They've expanded their food pantry program, opened the doors up to the Waukegan Public School District, and just overall, and this is one thing, it really hits home to me, they take every year, I think for the last 10 years, young ladies and young men from the Waukegan Public Housing Authority, obviously underprivileged kids, and they take them to Wisconsin Dells free of charge. Not that they have to pay any money, but they do have to do certain things, be respectful, be mindful, understanding that this is a gift from God. So I really commend him for him and the Shiloh Baptist family for doing what they do in the First Ward and throughout the city of Waukegan. We also want to thank Lake County Community Action Program for what they do over the last 47 years. I know this Alderman Newsom might be bringing this up, but I would happen to be there, and I didn't realize it's been that long. But as a little boy going through Camp Cool, didn't have an opportunity to speak there as a recipient of some of the services they do to low-income families, but more importantly, what they do for the Head Start program, making sure young parents get their children a part of the Head Start early in life. That's it. Last but not least, as we move this salary ordinance back into its committee stage, I'm going to speak as a Waukegan boy. To see this in the ordinance of longevity pay. Eligibility is based on continuous full-time employment with the city of Waukegan using employees' current date of hire. I'm paying you to come to my city to work. I find it very offensive. I shouldn't have to pay you to come here to work. I don't care how long you've been here, and maybe this is old school, maybe it's not. Maybe this is just, I'm a Waukegan boy, born and bred, and I'm proud of it. I'm a Southside Project young man. I'm proud of it. I have to pay you to come to my city to work here. But yet, this what angers me, not piss me off, not upsets me, but angers me. When I ask you about making sure Waukegan people get a part of these construction jobs that come here, AKA, it's a beautiful project. The culture, it's a beautiful project. Don't discount the project as being not a nice project by the mere fact I tell you that the people that live here, own homes here, who have the skill set to do the job here, you can't find them jobs. You can't give them money. But I got to pay you to come to my city to work. I'm going to get on the high horse. I shouldn't say the high horse. That's the wrong term. I'm going to get on the rebellion stage that, Larry, please, this does not mean that you was on a rebellion stage, but I'm going to be just as committed as you are tonight when it comes to paying people to stay and live in our city to work. I shouldn't have to give you a dime to come here to work. You should want to come here to work. I get every employee who's here today. They enjoy their job. They're committed to their job. The salaries that we give them is more than enough. Now, if you don't want to come here, and unless you get paid to come to my city extra, then go someplace else. That's just the way I feel. Now, that's just the Waukegan South Side, love this city, and as I become a better leader, I understand that the entire city is like that. But this portion of this salary ordinance, we might be here to the old school council meeting at 3 o'clock in the morning before I say yes to this. That's just wrong. To even think of, I'm going to pay you to come here an extra $100 a week so you can say I'm a Waukegan employee. I know a whole lot of Waukegan employees would love to get the salaries that we are getting in the benefits without getting an extra $100 a week. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Alderman Conken.
Hello. Obviously, we've had some spirited discussion tonight. A couple of things. I'll start with the salary ordinance. As I said, being on the Labor Relations Committee and going over this ordinance, I've had a lot of problems with a lot of things and a lot of the changes. And as Alderman Cunningham and Alderman Tempest have mentioned, they've also had issues. Alderman Moisio said he's had an issue with a couple of things. So I think it's good that we get out and have this committee of the whole so we can discuss it. And I would hope to see a nice big crowd here to witness what's going on and what's being discussed at this meeting Wednesday the 16th at 4 o'clock. I hope we can get a lot of people out here and listen. I don't believe that there will be allowed any public discussion, but please come in here and see what's going on. The other issue I got is the appropriation ordinance. Obviously, I consider myself one of the newer aldermen in the group, and I've always trusted our finance department. I always felt they've done a great job, and I've always believed in what they've done. But Alderman Tempest makes a good point. He says we're in a tough situation here, and it wouldn't be a bad thing. He has the experience, more experience than I do, and it probably wouldn't be a bad thing for all the aldermen, although it's tedious, to do a line-by-line discussion on everything that's being paid for in the city. I think, although, like I say, although I'm sure it would be tedious, I'm sure it'd be something that'd be an eye-opener for just about everybody here, and I, for one, wouldn't have a problem going through it at least one time. Thank you. Those are into my comments.
Alderman Moisio.
Yeah, any resident out there that doesn't think we're watching the dollars, I don't think they've seen this meeting tonight. Obviously, we've had a lot of discussion about a lot of things when it comes to finance and money. And Alderman Tempest brings up a lot of points. I think me and him have some of the same goals. We just have different ways of going about it. I'd rather attack it as it comes up. Maybe that's just his experience. I don't know. But that's for a later date. So I look forward to discussing some more of these issues, and as I said, anybody that doesn't think that we're not watching the dollars, as we have been up here, and it's not a slam against the mayor or against Tina or anybody in the finance department, but when you get the situation you have in this country economically, it's our job. That's one of our responsibilities, is the biggest responsibilities is to watch the dollars and ask where the dollars are going and justify why the money's going here and justify why the money's going there. So anybody that thinks we're asleep at the switch is sorely mistaken. I'd also like to thank the council for passing that animal ordinance. That's a year in the making. Was it perfect? No, but I'd like to thank Anna for her hard work. It's probably the only thing she's worked on for about a year. So she knows a lot about the animal ordinance now. So thank you, Anna, and thank you, Council, for passing that. That's it.
Alderman Beeling.
The animal ordinance, when the law-abiding come in to get the license tags for their animals, do we give them a copy of the law? Is that what we do, or do we send out a notice to every residence in Waukegan? We have a lot of laws here, and I think a lot of people have a hard time. They don't even know what the laws are. I don't know what the laws are, and these are just municipal laws. We have state laws, federal laws, lots and lots of federal laws. And how does one find out what the law is exactly? Are we going to send notices to everyone, or we just pass this thing and, you know, this is about fines? My neighbor tethers his dog. The dog is a happy dog. Now somebody's going to happen upon that, and he'll probably get a fine for that. He takes his dog for walks, but it's a guard dog. It sits outside of his house. Doesn't bark excessively or anything. You know, there's unintended consequences with passing laws sometimes, and we don't seem to address those things. Maybe we do at times. The higher levels of government don't seem to address those. The television recycling law, for instance, I'd like to have Representative Mayfield and Senator Link come in and maybe explain to us exactly how that works, because I see a lot of TVs now getting dumped on the boulevards, on the parkways, in the alleys, And there's no direction where to take any of these things, but somehow we're saving by recycling televisions. What does it cost to put a television in your car, drive it to God knows where? I took a couple of televisions. I looked up on the Swalco site, like they recommend, Lake Zurich. I drove from Waukegan to Lake Zurich and back for a couple of lousy televisions. I don't see what we're saving here. And I wish someone from the state, they passed these laws, would please come in and explain us exactly how it works, and did they consider the cost of passing these laws? They have a plastic bag recycling law that they're considering passing. I read part of that thing. Talk about ridiculous. I don't know how you'd manage that. Apparently every store that uses plastic bags is going to have to count each additional bag, and then the company that manufactures the bags is going to have to set up a program with everyone he distributes the bags to so they can keep account, and then they can report to the state. I assume the state is going to have to start a new department of plastic bag recycling compliance. What does that cost? There's never a cost to any of these laws that they create. But, you know, let's just pass another mandate down. We're green. We're going to do the right thing here. Nonsense. How green is it to get in your car and drive everywhere? Thank you.
Alderman Newsom.
Thank you. Alderman Beeling brought up a good point regarding our ordinances and what we have on the books and how we get that information out to our constituency. I had a call from one of my constituents this week, well, last week, and it was regarding a neighbor, excuse me, that had had their Christmas lights up for some time, like a year, and hadn't taken them down. So what I did was call our code compliance officer for our ward, and he went over and talked to them and explained to them what the ordinance states, and they were happy to comply. So I think a lot of times people are not following the ordinance that we put on the floor, on the table, or whatever, because they don't know about them. And once they become aware of them, then they are law-abiding citizens. So we do need to get find a way to make sure that when we put these ordinances out here, that people have time to comply to them, that they're aware of them, and when something comes down, that they're not fined right away if they don't know about these ordinances. So I think we as a city need to do a better job of making sure. I know we make lots of ordinances and laws, and it's hard to get the word out on every ordinance that we put on the books. But I think we need to find some kind of way to get the word out, to communicate with the citizens of Waukegan so that we can have more compliance with what we put on the books. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. One thing I want to make sure that there's a good understanding here. I think during the evening there may have been some comments or some things said about my serving as the liquor commissioner that may have not exactly painted the correct picture. I just want to make sure everybody understands that this file that I'm holding in this hand right here, every piece of paper in this file is related to my work as a liquor commissioner. Stuff that I've read, discussed with staffs, discussed with the police chief, discussed with code enforcement, our licensing director. So I want to make sure everybody understands that it's not that I'm not doing my job. What I found was in the hearings, there were people coming before the board that were people that I knew that had licenses. I know an awful lot of people in the city, and I know a lot of people who have licenses. And it was a situation where I felt there was the potential for some conflict or the appearance of it. So we decided to go to a different system. It's one that's been in place. It's not anything that I invented or created just for my administration. It's one that has been used in the past. So I just want everybody to understand that we go through, we take our liquor commission and our liquor licensing extremely seriously. It's not something that I don't pay attention to. The police chief can tell you that we talk about our issues in regarding our bars and our restaurants and problems that we're having on a regular basis, and that you know, when we do go to a hearing, we're prepared, and that preparation for that hearing comes from all of us working together. So it's just something I wanted to make sure was clear, that I don't abrogate my responsibility as liquor commissioner. It's just at that point in the hearing, because of the fact I was running into people I knew and had friendly relationships with, it was best handled by the independent adjudicator. So anybody ever wants to go through my file, it's one of a number that are about this size in my desk, and you know what, you're always welcome to take a look at it and see the work that we do and the work that I do as liquor commissioner, just so it's understood that it's something that I haven't turned my back on, and the chief of police knows that. You know, we have worked together to make sure that these problem bars and problem locations in Waukegan liquor stores, whatever they are taken care of. And I will say that I value his input greatly on these matters, because our police are the ones who have to deal with these issues more than anybody else, other than the neighbors who are next door to these problem, again, bars and liquor stores. So just wanted to set that straight. We do have an executive session, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to executive session. I'll take a motion to go into executive session by Alderman Conklin, seconded by Alderman Beaver. I was just going to get to that. On pending litigation, all in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Basically, we're done for the evening. We'll come back out. We will adjourn after the executive session, and that'll be it for the evening. So thank you all for your patience. Yeah. Okay, motion to come out of executive session into regular session by Alderman Rivera, seconded by Alderman May. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion to adjourn by Alderman Newsom, seconded by Alderman May. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Very good.
I'll call Isabel tomorrow.